everyone, welcome to Saturday. And
Hello.
Sorry about last week, but I was away. But yeah, here I am anyway. Hope everyone's having an awesome Saturday. I know it feels like it's been ages since I've done a live stream, but it's only been a week that I was away. But big hello there to Inky who's joined us. I'm just going to grab the screen of Inky up. I'm always really slow at this clicking. I need to actually set some like macro buttons or something. How you going, Inky?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. And
right.
The guys in chat hopefully can hear you as well.
Cool.
They can let us know. Big hi to 888 Berg. He's already said hi in chat, so we've got a couple of people in chat already, which is awesome. And yeah, it's been pretty interesting kind of last couple of days for me. Been doing a whole heap of stuff that's unrelated to synths and unrelated to music, so it almost feels like getting back to this is my comfort zone now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Back in the home studio.
Yeah, back in with the loves. What have you guys been up to? What have you been doing for the last week or so, Inky?
I've been taking it easy. Still mapping this MIDI controller to the MPC. But like you, it's summer and it's really hot, and it's a bit of a break time, you know. So nothing really that interesting. Just looking forward to the summer holidays, really.
Oh, that's fabulous. And yeah, summer over there, is it starting to warm up? I mean, I heard Nick was Nick, you know, from Sonic State. Everyone knows who Nick is.
Yeah.
He was whinging about it being 40 degrees or something under his flat tin roof he's got in his studio there. I don't know if it's hit 40 degrees in England. It surely hasn't hit 40 degrees.
Yeah, it's been where I live in Cornwall. It's been really hot for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
But the kids are going to break up next week, so that probably means it'll be raining for 6 weeks. That's what generally happens.
So you get an extra, like they get an extra, 6 or so weeks for the summer vacation, don't they?
Yeah. In England, they get 6 weeks.
And it's not what it's normal sort of term holidays are like 1 or 2 weeks, aren't they? So this is the big one. Yeah. And that's the thing, we've got, because I'm also a dad and I've got 3 kids, and you've got to then sort of find extra time to look after them and make them entertained, and you kind of have to sort of give way to some of the hobbies that we've got, unfortunately.
Well, if it's a nice day, we can go to the beach, which is kind of cool. So I don't mind that. It's when you're stuck in somewhere like a kids zone world, with kids running everywhere and screaming, and you're like, echoing, especially those kind of places.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yep. I mean, for us, we've got school holidays here, but it's in the middle of winter. And I mean, for winter for us is what, 18 degrees, 19 degrees during the day, so it's not even cold. I'm still wearing, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm still wearing short sleeves. So isn't it wonderful having winter over here? But summer here, it's air conditioning at full pelt. That's what it's like here. So we kind of don't really, the inside temperature in my house doesn't really change all year long. It's always around 24 degrees. So who knows what it's like outside. But yeah, we've got big hi to Darren. I think he's just popped into chat. So, and then 888 Berg saying he had a wedding a few years ago with a Scottish family contingent, and it was relatively cold summer, 25, 30 degrees, and they were dying. Yeah. I think we've got Scottish people that live here where I live, and one of the things that they say that they love about here is that no more Scottish winters. So one of them jokes about, like, in a nice thick Scottish accent, there's nothing like going to the beach. I can't do a Scottish accent, so I'm not even going to try, but there's nothing like going to the beach, going for a swim, and then coming out purple.
Well, you have to wait in England till right at the end of the summer, till it's almost winter again, so the water isn't freezing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have wetsuits, but they're really uncomfortable, and it's like, it's not fun. It's fun at first, and then after a few times you're like, can I be bothered? Can't I just be at home making tunes or whatever?
Yeah.
But October, just before it gets really cold, the sea warms up, and it's really nice. It's really, really nice. So, yeah. That's the advantage of no sharks, cold seas. You get a week of swimming. That's it, really.
We get everything here. We get like blue ring octopus, which kill you. We get stinging stonefish that, like, one of the most excruciating pains you'll ever have in your life. We get spiders that kill you, snakes that kill you. It's a great country.
Yeah, it's the most dangerous place to live, isn't it? It's got everything.
It's got everything.
Everything. Yeah, I could not live there. I'd just be a paranoid total wreck. I love the idea. I love my parents love it. But it's a bit too hot as well. It's Spain is my hot, you know. Yeah. Australia, it's just too hot. So for me, I think you're all really brave.
Well, I mean, it's what you know, isn't it? If you don't know anything else, that's what you're used to. So, yeah, I mean, I've lived all over different parts of Australia and other parts of the world, and I can tell where I live now is relatively mild in terms of heat, where some places in Australia it's a lot hotter than here, but it doesn't get very cold here. So the coldest it gets, overnight, at the worst, it might get to 0 overnight. You know how temperatures go low at night and hotter during the day.
Yeah.
So the worst it's going to get is 0 during the night time, and you're all snugged up under your doona. And then during the summertime, it's no worse than about 25 degrees at night time. So they're usually the worst nights. So it's quite mild. It's not really that bad. And we might only get about 3 or 4 weeks where it's extreme temperatures in summer. So at the moment where we are, it's probably been raining for about 3 or 4 weeks non-stop, and so we've had record rainfalls for 30-something, 40-something years. The dams are full, all that sort of stuff going on at the moment, which is pretty rare for Australia because it's pretty dry. So that's been good.
But in England, we just get, that's a season, the rain season, and that lasts for what, 11 months probably. We do grey and wet really well in the UK.
Yeah.
And then when it gets hot, everyone moans, and you're like, stop moaning. I know it's a bit hot. We're not used to it, but just remember that grey dull rain we've just had for 9 months. So get air conditioning.
So what is the best temperature or weather to be a musician? Is it summer? Are we more creative during summer, when we're kind of out and we're sitting on the deck chair under the sun and sipping on the the relaxing sort of mode, or are we more creative when we're sort of locked up inside and next to the fireplace? Or does it not matter? What do you guys think in chat? Do you have a preference of when do you punch more tunes out, or when do you do more jams, or when do you play more? Let us know in the chat. Just while we're talking about chat, Inky, I'm just going to pop up on the screen. I know you guys can see the little chat window on the right. It's a bit tiny, but just so for those who are playing along, watching YouTube, just we'd like to do this live stream. We would kind of really push people jumping in chat, and there's a small delay, but it's not much. And if you want to say something and you want us to discuss it, just jump into chat and say hi and bring it out. And a big hi to Luke. I noticed Luke's jumped in there, so we don't want to try and miss anyone. So big hi to Luke. I'm just going to say the same thing there. Inky, you can
hi.
Say hi. Yeah.
Hi to Luke. I know Luke really well. Good mate.
So that's all good. One thing I wanted to say too is this week I haven't done a funny side. I know I like to do the funny sides normally, but I actually because I was away, and there was a week where I was actually on a farm, and where I took my kids to a farm stay sort of thing, and we didn't have any internet down there, so I was kind of away from that sort of stuff. But during the week, had other stuff going on. I haven't had a chance to actually look at memes at all, which is actually quite strange for me. But if anyone knows of something funny they want to bring up as a topic, we can definitely chat about it. The other thing too is, while we've got everyone, I'm going to show everyone the Analog Drive, which I've finally got. Now, for those who actually do watch my channel, and I do apologise if you're one of those people that watches my channel. No, I mentioned that I bought one of these a couple of weeks ago, and it finally turned up. And I got this through reverb.com when someone in one of the Facebook groups said it's like a deal that you can't miss, and it was only $99 at the time. So, and I had to get it from the US. So I had to pay a little bit for postage. It wasn't too bad. But if I was to buy this here in Australia, it's over $300. So definitely it was a good deal. That's why I got it. Now, I actually don't have a drive pedal for anything. If I want to use distortion, I've been using digital-based, VST type effects for distortion. So this is going to be interesting. It's all plugged in. So we'll get to that a bit later. Who's interested in checking out the Elektron Analog Drive? Just out of curiosity, show of hands in the chat if you're interested in that. The combination that I've come up with, Inky, is I've decided to go with the SH-01A, which is basically the Roland SH-01 clone. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got that. I'm going to sort of go down the acid path. Do you know what I mean? Acid. A lot of the acid synths of the 80s and 90s, they used to squelch the filter and they used to get the drive. Do you know what I mean? So that's where we're going to.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah. A synth nerd will that would be your first go-to when you get a drive pedal. Let's put some acid through it. So we'll do that. And the news that's been coming up during the week has been pretty quiet. I don't know if you guys watched Sonic State. That was on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday for you guys? It's Wednesday for me anyway. So I was watching that, and really the biggest bit of news that Gaz was talking about in that was the announcement that Apple have now released an update for the iOS for the iPads, where you can now finally do file transfer. So for those who are using their iPads for music, this is pretty big. It's a pretty big thing. I mean, it's something that I've always scratched my head about. What do you think about? Do you use an iPad at all, Inky?
I don't even own one. I owned the first ever iPhone, and they wanted you to pay to use the video, so I had to crack it because I was like, well, I can see what's coming here. I'm going to have to pay to use everything.
Yeah.
And since then, I've kind of not been into Apple, except I've got an iMac.
Yep.
But for that reason, and for little reasons like the reasons we could discuss, I'd love one. I really would love one. I understand they're really... Yeah, they're so good. But there's a thing inside me that says, why are they always trying to make it difficult? Why are they almost going backwards in some of the... And why is it taking this long for file sharing? You can get around it in other ways. You can do it on your computer. So why even...
Well, I can answer that. I mean, I think... They'll probably never admit this, but I think it's to do with copyright protection. So... iTunes was very, very big. As you know, when the iPad first came out, that's when Steve Jobs was around. It was his baby, and iTunes was huge, and that was his baby as well. So all of that was all about digital music and digital file copyright. So they didn't want people uploading pirated stuff onto their platform. They wanted to make it difficult for you to do that, or if you did do that, they wanted to kind of know about it, which is why. If you ever had to jump an MP3 or put a WAV file in, you had to do it through iTunes. And that was really convoluted, and everyone used to hate it. So it was the only way you could get music into your iPad was to do it through iTunes. So that makes sense, but I mean, really now, there's absolutely no reason. Music file, the value of a music file online they're just about ruined. Do you know what I mean? Through streaming. I mean, no one gets paid anymore. It's really, there's no money in it. Like when someone puts a copyright claim on YouTube now, that'll probably just about go soon too, because there's really hardly any money in the actual value of music, which sucks because we as artists, it's not like the 80s where you punch a CD out and make a couple of mil. Do you know what I mean? Like these days you punch a CD out and like they just sit there in a box collecting dust like mine. I've got a box of these things, sitting around. But nobody wants CDs anymore, I understand. But you know what I mean? So there's no value in legally in putting massive, huge sort of software establishments behind file protection anymore. So that's why they've probably relaxed it. That's my theory anyway. I don't know if it's real or not. What do you think about that? Oh, we had to say
Well,
hi to John Cuba. Sorry, just a quick one. Yeah, you go for it, Inky.
well, I tried iTunes once, and all I wanted to do is play a track. That's all I wanted to do is play one track. And it didn't want me to play one track. It wanted me to create a playlist. And that's when I thought, do you know what? I haven't got time for all this. I don't want to create a playlist. I want to play a track. I don't know if that was just me at the time, but I seem to remember the early versions wouldn't let you just play a track. Is that correct?
I don't know about that. I mean, look, it could have been. I'm probably like, from my sort of world, I was a little bit resistant with iTunes when it first came out. I used to be, I'll admit, I used to be a Napster person. So that was like, when MP3s were kind of in the thing. And so I would, because I'm a geek and I'm like a computer guy, I would spend a lot of time downloading MP3s. Illegally, of course. No. But, that's what I used. And then iTunes came out and I thought it was kind of, like what a lot of people are saying in chat right now, they were saying, well, it's a way for Apple to control us and try and make money out of us. So I kind of stayed away as a result. And, I mean, yeah, I do have
Me
iTunes,
too.
but I haven't, like, how there's people out there that have invested, they might spend a whole Saturday sitting there and organizing their music library and making sure, and then going in and making sure all the album art works and they've favorited that song and giving it 4 star, like all that sort of time wasting thing. And now Apple have turned around and said, we're going to scrap this. It's not going to happen anymore.
Exactly. This is why I'm just glad I never bothered then. I really am, because, yeah, I didn't like the idea of it. And I don't like the idea of like iPads. I do, if they made it right without you. Why have they taken the audio jack out of it to make it thinner? Why have they done all these weird things when it was really quite good?
Yeah, I had to think about that the other day. And I was probably one of these people that for about 2 or 3. How long is that audio jack been missing now? A couple of years now. I think it was iPhone 7, wasn't it? They stopped it. So, and I was one of these people going, what are you guys doing? You're going to make us buy your dongles. And I was kind of that person banging that drum. But the other day, I went to a shop because my headphones that I use for listening to music on my phone, which are Bluetooth, were just cheapies, and the left ear stopped working. It was very quiet, and it was just annoying me. And I thought, was it to do with the fact that it's dirty, and it was like $40. So I thought, stuff it, I'm just going to chuck it in the bin. And I went and bought another one, and I just got some Sony ones, and they're just cheap, and I got them on 40% off, so that was a good deal. And I just had this moment where I thought to myself, I know why they got rid of the headphone socket. I looked at myself and I thought to myself, it's so clear why they got rid of it. They don't need it because the Bluetooth technology is getting so good. We're not talking about us as musicians who love perfect, pure, wired-based, audio. We're talking about the general population here. So that aside, just talking about the general population. Bluetooth headphones. They don't need a socket. They're completely wireless. You don't need to plug anything into it. And these things that I bought, $40 they were. Sony's, and the battery lasts for 15 hours on it. So, I mean, I don't listen to music for 15 hours. I might listen to it for half an hour, something like that, before I go to bed or something like that. So for me, I don't have to charge them much at all during the week, probably once or twice a week, which is brilliant. Not having to plug them in, don't have to worry about cables getting unplugged while you got it in your pocket. Do you remember that sort of stuff that we've had to fight? So it actually came to me and I thought, this is actually pretty sensible. And then I thought, I'm going to back down a little bit from the, Apple, you're trying to make us buy your dongles. Well, yeah, if you want to go that route where you need the wire, do you know what I mean? You want to go for that more professional sort of sound and you need the wire. But let's be honest, the audio card or the digital to analog conversions that are in the iPad isn't professional standard really anyway, is it? Let's argue that.
Yeah, and also I would say that, okay, as musicians, we're like, oh, why did you do this? But if you pick like any age of like 19 to 20-year-olds, or 20 to 21-year-olds, that category would outstrip the musicians who buy iPads anyway, wouldn't it? We as a consumer, the musicians, are quite a small percentage.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not really thinking about us, to be fair.
That's what I was saying. General population don't need
brilliant.
plugs.
Yeah.
And the ones that do, well, you've got Samsung or you've got your Android type ones. They've still got those sockets in them. I think there was a Samsung one that's not got one in there. So they're starting to follow anyway. But just quick hi to Inverted and John Cuba as well, who's jumped into chat. Now let me just have let's just jump to the chat window because there's a few things people have thrown up there, and I do promise that I'd like to talk about them. So where are we? Go back. So 888berg is asking about, did we hear about the Behringer Prophet 5 possible clone? I didn't. I've been pretty bad this week. I haven't actually been fully following everything, so definitely let's check that out in a sec. And what else? Everyone's talking about getting rid of iTunes and kind of following our thoughts there. They're all saying that money in music has now moved to different parts like live performance and touring. And that's clubs and where you perform and things like that's where the money in the music is. And they're laughing about Napster. That brings back memories, doesn't it? I used to play, I used to have Winamp. Do you remember Winamp?
Yeah.
And you had the little llama thing come up because it was shareware. I used to have that. And I was an awesome, I had that for years, that thing. And I'd sit at work and I'd code like programming and stuff like that. And I'd sit at work and I would have Winamp playing all day long. And it'd be, gigabytes worth of music sitting on a hard drive on the network somewhere, just playing on shuffle, just random. At 1 minute you could be listening to something made in the 60s and the next minute you could be listening to, an acid banger or something. It was just crazy. It was kind of weird.
That's it. If you did that kind of stuff and then you were presented with iTunes, you're like, why would I use this? Yeah. Why don't I just go back to doing what I was doing for free,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was,
I'm with you.
Same.
Yeah, I'm with you. So John Cuba's mentioned off topic, Elektron Analog Heat Mark II is absolutely a Sherman Bank killer. Every instrument need a little bit of saturation or distortion for something odd and drive in every channel. I'm starting to jump on the distortion / overdrive bandwagon. I used to actually probably be a little bit against it, not badly, but I don't know. I kind of feel that it was kind of almost overdone for a while in the noughties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything was all saturated overdrive, and I was like, enough! Come on, guys, let's have some purity. Let's have some let's have a rest from that. But now it's kind of settled a bit, and I think it's time to bring it back in. And I think when you do use it, I think less is more is a good way of saying it.
Yeah, I agree. That's the way I feel about a TB-303 as well.
Yeah.
That we had enough, and it was overdone, and now I use my mono station. That's got a bit of a drive and distortion on it.
Yep.
It puts stuff through it, but I'd like to look into other things. So I'm interested in this the pedal, the Elektron stuff.
Well, why don't we give it a bit of a I'm not going to spend hours on this right now and just block everything else. We'll go and have a little bit of play so that people just want to make sure that you are still talking while we've got this up. So everyone should still be hearing you. That's good, so you can still talk. In fact, I might actually see if I can get your window up.
Well, I was going to have a little drink there, so you can...
Oh, no, you're going to have your little drink. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are. Let's get this working. So we need... So, do you guys want me to turn the delay off? Just tell me if you're annoyed with the delay. But you know me, I like my delays. So here we go. can get it to scream a bit more, shall I? Here we go. There you go. There's a bit of acid. I mean, this thing's massive. I haven't really used this for more than about 5 minutes. I've been completely honest. What I love about it is it's got these presets, and they kind of, the presets from what I can work out is pretty much just a mix of how they use this EQ here. So you've got low, mid, frequency, and high, and then it's, you know, whether it's driven more, gained more, or levels or things like that. So it's kind of just a mix of all these knobs, and they sound heaps different. Like that was the Harmonix fuzz. This one's probably peaking. Let's get a bit of envelope on that, hey? That's, you know, just a different preset. Oh, that was peaking.
Yeah.
Whoa, boys. Here we go. Oh, now that is just beautiful. So when I was just playing with that filter, then you'll notice that the drive pedal just kind of, it just evaporates into this mess of mangle, and just all the harmonics kind of break apart, and it's kind of just this unpredictable crud. And you know, that is where you can actually find some beautiful, you know, tones, and it adds to your, you know, your basic stuff that you've got here. So let me just catch up with everyone in chat, and I'll bring you back up, Inky, so they can see you as well. Let me see. Let me just mute that because it's making a hell of a noise right now.
We're all discussing what we're drinking. If anyone's drinking alcohol, that's what they're discussing.
Oh, coffee. Yeah. Okay. It's it's gone crazy. Where are we? Okay, so we're back here. All right. So legendary pedals, Proco Rat 2. Don't know it, so I'll have to check that one out.
Oh yeah, no, one of my friends loves that pedal.
Yeah.
For distortion.
That's a good one, is it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's got like a digitact, a digitone. Yeah. So he likes it.
Yeah.
Electronic Massive. Yeah. So I've heard of that pedal.
Yeah, I think the whole point of it is Triple Eight Berg's asking me why haven't I sold the SH-01A now that I've got the MS-101. I don't. I'm a hoarder. There's the easiest answer. Well, I don't often sell stuff. I should. You know,
because you're going to lend it to me.
Yeah, that's it. I'll send it.
That's yeah. And it's a good takeout unit.
Yeah. For me, it's just that tiny form factor. This is winning a lot of things for me, but they do sound different, and also this has got the polyphonic mode on it as well. This is digital, so I don't know. There's my answer. It's different. It's not a massive difference, but it's different, and then because something's different, it gives me something that the other one doesn't, and vice versa. So technically, if I put the MS-101 with the analog drive, you got two analog things happening, so you know that'll make all the analog fanboys happy. But this is digital, so you know all the digital fanboys would be happy today. Okay, so what I'm drinking, I didn't even get a chance to have a coffee tonight, and I've got water. So
yeah, I'm on water.
So
cheers.
I was actually at a brewery, one of those pubs that have got a little microbrewery at the back, and they've got this glass window all the way around where you can see all the big stainless steel drums, you know, vats, whatever you call them. And I was thinking to myself, you know what, I might go in there and buy one of these beers, because this is the only place in the world which makes that particular beer. And
Yeah.
and I thought I'll show it on my show, but I forgot about it. When I had something to eat, and then I forgot it. I walked past it. So next time I'm there, I'll remember I have to go and get one. There's a guy on YouTube who you guys probably know most of the YouTubers who do music stuff anyway, so you'll know who I'm talking about. He always cracks a beer open. He's got long hair and he's American. Always cracks a beer open. Always talks about the type of beer. He pours it into a glass. You know, sometimes he buys German beer, and he's got a really good way of pronouncing the German names, but he's American. You guys will know who he is.
Is he American?
Yeah.
I know an English.
Well, he could be Canadian, but he's definitely American. Could be Canadian, but I think he's American.
Oh.
Sometimes the Canadians who don't say out, you know, that's the way you can tell Canadian accent from American accent is when they say out, because they go out. It's the key. That's how you can tell the difference. Americans and Canadians will go, "What do you mean? They sound so different to us. What are you talking about?" And for us, we're like, "No, they don't. They just say out differently." It's like when you're in England, all the different English accents from like Northern England, and it all changes. Liverpool versus Newcastle.
Oh, it does. It does really change, though.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go off on that rant. We'll probably be stuck on that rant for a while. So Mother 32, John Cube is saying, I use a Mother 32 Anode Me Bleep, which is I think a little analog thing, an XOX box for some Zid, some acid. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Hi, Andrew Brooks. Jumping into chat there to say hi. I think they're talking about some other stuff there. And yeah, so I just wanted to keep up with chat. Anyway, what do you guys want me to do? Inky, what about you? What do you want me to do with this? Do you want me to start fiddling around with this stuff, or?
Yeah, start fiddling around with some.
Ow.
Make some acid.
I just hit my elbow on the DeepMind 12, and then you know how big the DeepMind 12 is. So right now my elbow's
real wood.
Real wood. Whoa. I think that just blew us away. This is the Harmonix I was telling you about.
Yeah, it sounds nice. Yeah.
One of the things I love about the SH-01 or MS-101 or SH-01, whatever you want to call it, let's just call it an SH-101. It makes it easier because it's kind of like where it started. Is it's got that sub-oscillator, and it's kind of like a square wave. So whenever you do a square wave as a low sound, it always, to me, it's almost a go-to sound for me. When I've got a mini Moog or something like that, I always use one of the other second or third oscillators, and I always square wave it and go low. It just brings that sort of crunchiness to it. Now if I drop that out, you'll hear, listen to it sort of disappear. Hear that?
Yeah.
Back in it.
Yeah.
Alright, anyway. Okay, so let's try clean boost. What does that do? Nothing, really.
Yeah. Don't like that one.
Mid drive.
Oh, that's alright. Yeah, it's quite nice then.
Let's turn the delay off just while we're listening to the pedal by itself. Why don't we do this? I missed the key change there. You know how hard it is to play like that?
Keep going. It sounding all right. Don't worry. Yeah,
it's hard to play like that.
Yeah. Live on camera.
Yeah, not sound like a twat. Okay, let's try this one. This is called Dirty Drive. I went for a dirty drive the other day. I got the car dirty.
That sounds wrong though. You can't say that on a live stream. You might get yourself into trouble.
Alright, let's try just...
Has that got full switch modulation?
Yeah,
that SH?
Yeah, that's it there.
We'll put a bit of that in. Can you put a bit of that in as well?
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Turn the arpeggiator off. Let's go up a bit higher. Sometimes we want higher notes. Even with the high notes or the higher register, it just completely changes the way it sounds. So if I mute, so the way I've got this set up is like do you remember my TC electronic video that I did when I was away last week, where I had one of the instruments going through the what do you call it, the auxiliary send? So I've got the same thing set up here. So it's going through an auxiliary send, and you know, I can drop it out if I want to on the mixer. Where is that mixer, by the way? Why is that not working? Inky, what did you, while we're talking about it, did you manage to get anything set up for your side of things today?
I did, but I'm going to chicken out because I didn't check it out.
Yeah.
But I have connected it. But what worries me is I uploaded a video yesterday and something went wrong and it sounded awful.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's this part. I think it's the computer part of it and logic and
That's
all
right.
that.
When you can sort it out, we'll get you to do it next time, eh?
Yeah, maybe. But maybe some other people will come and join us as well. So, you know.
When I get myself a bit more organised. Okay, so you can keep talking. I just wanted to show you, there's the mixer below, and you can see, so the analog drive is coming through channel 4, and the SH-01A is coming through channel 9 and 10 as a stereo. And you can see, if I move this down, can I move it down? Is it going to let me move it down? Why are you not letting me move it down? Of course you're not going to let me move it down. I'm just going to block that chat thing. Turn this chat thing off. Hang on, let's turn this off. We don't need that. Okay, that's better. So now I've got more room down the bottom. So you can see below, I've got this channel 9 and 10. It's one up here, and it's got this little grey. It's very hard to see if you're only looking at a small window, but it's got this little grey thing. That's the amount of send. And then aux 1 is over here, and that's then coming back out through this little orange cable here through the mixer, and so that's actually the feed for the pedal, and then that's going back in through channel 4. So I can control the send, the amount of send, the aux, and the channel feed back through as well. So it's like complete control, and this is the best way to do it, because then if you can have wet, dry, wet and dry, how much, like you can even overdrive coming into the overdrive, if that makes sense as well. So if this is just really for people that probably don't know how to do that. So I know there's lots of us in the channel that would know how to do that. So sorry if it was a bit sort of boring, but that's how you would do it if you've got a mixer. Now most mixers have got sends and returns, so that's the same thing. So some mixers call it aux, some mixers call it insert, some mixers call it send, some mixers call it both, and all the above. So you know, these are all different names if you don't know. Hope that helped. 888 Berg is... Well, actually, Andrew's asking me something. How well do you get on with the little keyboard that you've attached to the O1? So this is the question Andrew's asking me about, this keyboard here. I hate them. It's the answer. I'm only using it because there's only this much space. Like, you can imagine, I've got a desk and I've got my cameras and everything here and another camera up there. I've only got so much space. I mean, I can work. I guess I could sort of swing around and play the deep mind and things like that. But for a live stream, that's the only reason why it's like that. I don't use it. I take it out of that keyboard module and I have MIDI, and I use a proper MIDI controller when I'm using it properly. So there's your answer for that. 888 Berg's asking me, what pedals do I have?
But you've got a lot, haven't you?
I've got a hell of a lot, yeah. I'm a bit of a pedal.
You're like a bit of a collector, yeah.
I am, yeah. And lately it's been crazy, hasn't it? I mean, just probably in the last 2 months, I reckon I've got maybe another 10 or 12 pedals. I mean, there's another one right there.
Did you get...
Can someone send help? I'm buying too many pedals. 888 Berg, it's all your fault. No. The last pedal I got was the TC Electronic June 60. Then before that, I had...
Oh, yeah.
I got about 3 or 4 different phaser pedals. The 2 MXR Phase 90 and Phase 99. I got the... well, they're just here. I have some of my pedals here. So that's another recent one I got. Where is it? The Moog Foga phaser. I've got another 3 other Moog Foga pedals sitting in a cupboard. That's the MXR Phase 99. So they're phaser pedals. But yeah, I mean, the answer is...
You like pedals.
The answer is I got stacks. I do have a Strymon Big Sky, talking about...
Right, yeah.
Not the Blue Sky, the bigger one, the Big Sky. I've got a Strymon Big Sky.
Yeah.
I got that used, so that was cheap for me. Where are we? I love the Strymon Big Sky. It's got one of the coolest reverb on it. It's got a really long... You can actually set that thing up to... I forget now. It's 50 seconds. I don't know, some crazy amount. Someone will know what it is. But you can actually literally just play a chord, let it go grab a coffee, come back, and you can still hear the reverb. It's amazing, that thing. Like, what's the joke with the ambient musicians where they get the brick, put it on the keyboard? That's called an ambient sequencer. Just get a brick and chuck it on a keyboard. Actually, that's a good segue, because I do have a topic I wanted to bring up, and I think it's great for everyone while we're in here. And that is, I was actually going to bring a photo up and show you, but I don't think I need to. Do you know when you've played a piano, most pianos have got a little cover that you put, you have to lift it up to play the piano, and then when you finish playing the piano, you put the cover down. Who's with me on that? Who's played a piano and it's got that little hinge cover that you lift up to play it?
Yeah.
And then when you
they
finish...
all have it.
Right, they all have it, don't they? Why do synthesizers not have covers for the keys to keep the dust off? I've just thought about it today. I'm just thinking to myself, facepalm moment. But do you know what I mean? Like, when did someone decide that synthesizer keyboards don't need to have a little cover on them? And I'm not talking about, okay, yes, it'll make it more expensive. I don't want to go into that argument. What I'm talking about is purely just to keep the dust off the keys, right? I don't expect them to have this big hinge thing like in the piano. Do you know what I mean? What I'm talking about maybe is just something like that you could slide, like on the deep mind, right? You could, there's so much stuff, like space here, right? You could just pull something out, like a slide out thing, Do you know what I mean? Like one of those, like a bread bin, you slide the bread bin cover over.
Or even underneath, so it comes the other way round.
Yep, could pull it up over. Yeah. So, I mean, there's room in here, and those things, they kind of fold up inside, so they're concertina. I mean, or it could be made on a roll, like plastic or anything. But why? The question is, I'm not here to try and solve the problem. That's not my job. That's for the design engineers. My question is why do synths not have covers on them? Does anyone think that's a silly question to ask? One of those things that came across my mind.
I don't really understand why we have to pay for dust covers anyway. Shouldn't they come as part of the product? Do you know what I mean?
That's another great point. Like, why are we having to put? I mean, they should come in some sort of case or cover that comes with it, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So if they're not going to make a cover that pulls out over the keyboard to keep the dust off, then they should have some sort of bag or something. I guess they could say, oh, it comes in a box, so you can put it back in the box. But, I mean, those boxes last 5 seconds. So.
Oh, no, that's not good enough, is it? Because you're not going to get everything out of box, get the whole studio out of box and put it all back together.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is... I'm not sure if some of these companies just don't make them and a third-party company makes them. That's part of the problem.
Well,
you know?
I mean, it's obviously each synth manufacturer would be different in how they actually manufacture them. I mean, so Roland, I know how they work. I know how Behringer work because they've told me. So I can give you guys a little bit of insight into this. So the way Roland work is that they've got their own company, and unless they tell you they've used a third party, like for example the Eurorack things that they've done, they're using a third party company for that. But most of their stuff, like these boutiques, they're all made by Roland, and they've got factories in China and Japan. But I don't know where. Some of their stuff's made in China, and some of their stuff's made in Japan, but most of it, I believe, is in China. Behringer have a factory in China where most of the stuff is assembled and soldered and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of the research, design, and engineering and that sort of stuff is done in Germany, or if it's related to the Midas group, they're in the UK.
Manchester.
Yeah. And so, for example, the Deep Mind was designed in England by the Midas guys. So, and that was actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but that was designed as a gift for Uli. It was never meant to be a commercial release, that synthesizer. It was designed as a gift for him because he lost... Do you remember that he was talking about the UL1 or whatever, that one that he made himself in the 80s? He made his own synthesizer, and it got lost when Behringer made some sort of warehouse move. They sold one place and bought another, and they moved, and in part of the move it got thrown out or lost or something like that. It was a while ago. Anyway, so yeah, so the guys at Midas in Manchester built and designed this because they knew he loved the Juno, so that was based on the Juno. I'm going off on tangents today, aren't I?
But also they were told they were a bit naughty, so they were told not to put a display on it. There's a great little piece where you can see.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we were told not to put a display on it, and then we were told not to do this, but we did. And it's quite good that they were kind of a little bit naughty and made it how they better in a way.
I loved, there was a bit of a lead up before they actually released it, wasn't there? Where they actually had the guys from the Manchester, the Midas crew.
Peter and Rob.
Yeah, Peter and Rob, and they were doing videos where they were talking about this thing in development, and they were plugging in this thing that it looked nothing like this at the time, and they were plugging this thing in and going, look, we've got sound out of it. They were doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I loved how they did that. I mean, what synth manufacturer has done that before? I don't recall any. Like, I have never seen Roland or Korg even sort of release something, info about something they're in the development of, and share the development with us, with the community, which I think is really, really cool. Wait, sorry, you were saying, Inky?
The Neutron. They did it about the Neutron because the same two guys designed it, and he said, well, why we're here, let's talk about why we did this. And the other guy, I can't remember which is which, he just said, because we wanted to. And you could see it was genuine. They'd just done the Deep Mind and they'd gone, let's just make something, And it was so good to see how genuinely fun they all thought it was and how they were having fun. They seemed like really nice and very intelligent guys. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really cool. So some of the guys are jumping on the dust bandwagon. Okay, so here we go. So some guys are talking about how they cover their synths in blankets, and some of them are sort of saying, "Don't talk to me about dust covers." Some are saying, Triple 8 Berg saying, "I sleep with my synths." Yeah, plastic's good. Glad wrap. Do you guys cling wrap? Whatever you call it. What do you call that stuff over that you put over
Cling
the
film.
Cling film. That's it.
No, you can't use that. You get it all.
Yeah.
No.
I've seen photos of guys recommending cling film. I don't.
No. I'm back with the
this
packaging. You
this
know
is
that
what
foam?
I recommend.
Yeah.
Gets rid of dust. It's a shaving brush.
Yeah.
Or you could just use a as long as it's real horse or whatever you call it hair. You could just like go to a painting shop and get a paintbrush. It does the same thing. And that
I go round and blow them.
Yeah,
I go round
them. Yeah.
like kissing them. I'm like go around and blow them and make sure. Yeah. And sellotape. If ever you find a bit that's in your, you get bits and you're like, oh my god, how am I going to get that bit out of that little groove there?
Yeah.
If you get sellotape and double back it.
Yep. And just slide it in there. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah. That's an awesome idea.
That's a good one.
Yeah. The wrapping in plastic was a joke, by the way. I wasn't actually serious about that. When someone was recommending it on one of the forums, I was like, oh no, do you actually have any idea what you're going to do? So what I was going to say is, so no one is actually agreeing or disagreeing with this little thing that I was saying before about why do synths not have the cover to go over the keys like the pianos do. So why don't they come with, like you said, Inky, why don't they come with a dust cover? That's a really great point. Why don't they come with some sort of cover? I think it's a really good question to ask.
2 points. Firstly, I think you should patent that idea and start making them, because I haven't seen the keyboard covers anywhere. But I think some of the, like Novation, they don't make dust covers or bags for their stuff. Mostly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they do it for the base. They do it for the base station, but the rest you just go and buy a third-party bag.
Yeah.
Probably because they're quite a small division, aren't they? They're a division of Focusrite Novation.
I don't get paid for this sort of stuff, but this is a bit of a free plug for whoever these guys are called.
Yeah, I got one of them.
Xils-labs. They're actually a UK company. These guys.
Yeah.
So that's a deck saver for a Novation Peak. Actually,
I've got one.
It actually says made in the UK there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera.
Well, hold on. Let me see mine.
And this one is for the Novation Peak. Let me see if I can get a better view for you guys.
Yeah.
That way. No, that way. That way. It says there. You can actually see it. Yeah. Now, on the back of these, I don't know if you guys have used the deck saver brand, but see how that's got that little bit of foam on there as well? So these aren't just a bit of plastic. They've actually gone to quite a bit of... This is for the Peak, this one. And it even says... I don't know, can you guys see that? It even says Peak there. Yeah.
With a circuit.
Keep yours up because I'm going to make you fall so you can see what you got. Hold yours up. There you go. Show and tell your deck savers. Now I've got to try and get this on Peak again. There we go. But that actually keeps the dust off. They're brilliant, those things.
Yeah, but how much are they? I mean...
They're expensive.
Exactly. If I had to cover everything in here...
With
one of these...
Yeah.
That's a really expensive synth I could buy. Do you know what I mean? If you added it all up.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to do that. But it's back to packaging. You know that polystyrene... You know that really thin polystyrene kind of like...
Yeah.
Like, it's over there. Can you see it in that corner?
Yeah.
Shall I get it?
No, I can see it. But you can grab it if you want. I'll just while you grab it, I'll go to me so they can... I'll go to the pedal.
There we go.
Hang on, come back to you. 1 sec.
Because I've got loads of it here now.
There we go. You got the full screen.
So I don't know where I got this from, but it's like thin.
It kind of wraps around packaging when you buy stuff. You sometimes get it in some of the synths that you buy. Yeah.
But if you get a great big wad, so it's hold on.
That's pretty big too. Yeah.
That then. and like that long,
Yeah.
and I've got 3 of them. So if I was going away for like a couple of weeks, I'd just put them everywhere.
Yeah, just drape it over. Yeah, that
Yeah,
will keep the dust off.
And it's so light it won't hurt anything.
So there we go. We didn't even know we were going to be talking about this, guys. So here's the Ranzee and Inky's pro tip on how to protect dust from your synths. I'm sure you guys all know this anyway. So the brush, the cellophane tape, and pretty much all the other stuff that we showed. Deck savers, those bits of foam.
The professional stuff.
Foam. What would you call it? Foam material. I don't even know what you call that. Polystyrene.
It's weird. I don't know where you find it. I don't know where I found that. I think it might have come from some sort of shed or...
Yeah, packaging places would have it. I've just seen it with that, yeah.
Well, that's great. Bubble wrap would be okay.
Let's have a catch up to what the guys are saying in chat. So, they're talking about...
Yeah,
I'd rather buy a cheap pedal than prance around with plastic around my gear. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm a little bit sort of on the fence about this. I'll tell you why. I think sorry, let me get both of us back. I think with the deck savers, I've only got 4 of them. I've got one on my MPC Live because that thing sits on my desk just here. It's got a pedal on top of it at the moment. When you put the deck savers on, you can chuck stuff on top of your deck savers. So it actually gives you, because they're really strong, that gives you something where you can put stuff on top of your gear. Don't put anything massively heavy on there or anything, but that pedal is sitting on a deck saver right now, which the MPC Live's underneath. You would never put something on top of your MPC Live like that unless you had something protecting it, right? So that gives you just a bit of freedom to, because these things take up your space, and if you just need to move stuff around and that. So I've only got it on things that I've got left out permanently. So my MPC Live's got one, my Peak's got one because the Peak is just here, just off screen, but it's just here. I notice how I didn't buy one from a Deep Mind because this is not always out. So actually the Deep Mind sits permanently up. Not which way? There. At the moment that's the VC340 sitting up there. Can you see that keyboard in the back there?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
That's where the Deep Mind normally sits up there. So and I put something over it. So I've got and in this part of my room, I actually should do a little studio tour one day with the camera. I've got a cupboard in here, which is like a walk-in robe, right? But I don't use it as walk-in robe. This is actually like my gear room where I just put all my gear that I'm not currently using. I just go and put it away. It's got shelves and books and stuff.
I think firstly we should both try and do like a little swivel at one point, but it's when I started putting things away that I thought, right, I'm not going to go down this road. So I bought some more tables and then sold some stuff. I know it's a bit drastic. I sold the Roland stuff, the MC 307 and 505.
Yep.
Because I like to see what I've got, and my studio, like yours, is moving around quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I've got quite a bit of space, but everything's kind of laid up so it's ready to go if I want it.
Yeah.
So deck covers, they just get in the way. I quite like the one I got for free, but then it does my head in because I put it on the one and I'm looking at the other 2 circuits going, well, they need one. And they don't need one, right? They don't need one. I think
circuits, like I wouldn't get, like I wouldn't pay, like if you get one for free that's fine, but I wouldn't pay for one for a circuit. I think that's kind of they're getting a little bit small for that. So Triple Eight Berg's asking, I don't know if he's asking me or you or both of us or just everyone, how do you step around the massive financial hole that is a room littered with synths to the wife?
I don't have a wife.
Inky's fine. I get a bit of grief from mine at times, especially when she calls things like this a piano, and she goes, how many more pianos do you need? And I mean, I think you guys can understand how frustrating that question could be, but for me, I get a bit of grief sometimes, but I other than these guitar pedals aren't expensive. Like $90 is not a big cost. It might be for some of you, I understand, but I mean, I work, so it's not a big cost. It's not like I'm buying like a Moog one, a $10,000 synth. I've slowed down. The last big synth purchase I made was the Peak, and then really those Behringer ones that I bought, they aren't expensive. They were only $200 or $300. So I try and keep my purchases under a certain amount per month if I'm going to do that, and then eventually I will sell stuff to sort of bankroll the next lot. So I do have some things that I'm selling.
Once you have a certain amount, you realise that getting more is not the answer. You've already got a variety of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, you've got to use it. If you're not happy with that, find out the bits you're not happy with, sell it. Well, but before you sell it, look at what you would be happier with.
Yeah.
And figure out a plan. Because I'm pretty happy with my setup. I don't feel I need more. If I did need a different synth, I'd look why I'm not happy with the ones I've got first. So, because you can just end up, we all like it. They're toys, aren't they? I'd like a great big modular setup, I would. But at the end of the day, I've got to keep it real for me, So I think if you've got enough, you can keep it rolling, can't you? Does that make sense? Oh, have we lost? Hello?
Sorry, I'm muted. I muted myself, and I was talking to you. And I'm muted. I just muted myself because I was typing in the keyboard, and it's probably the most annoying thing to hear with me typing while.
Don't do that again.
Yeah,
that was scary.
Sorry, and I had to get my mixer window back open. What I'm going to do is, I don't know if this is any help to anyone, but gear list. On my website, I've got a gear list, and I don't know if it's up to date or not, but there it is.
You want me to see if I can move the camera so you can see my studio? I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
You can do that, but I'm just going to take you off screen for a sec.
Okay.
All right. So everyone you can see this too, Inky, through the Skype call. So everyone who goes to my website, it's just gear-list after the URL, and this is a list of what I've got, whether it's out or packed away. Sometimes I go and talk about some little stuff, but most of I try not to talk about too much of the little stuff, but I do sell stuff. So you can see here, I used to have an RM1X from Yamaha, and I sold that. I had a Roland MC-08. Where's that gone? Roland stuff. Sold the MC-808, sold the XP. So I do sell stuff. I'm a bit of a hoarder, but I do sell stuff. So yeah, there's my list of gear, and it does list some of the pedals. I have put the Phase 99 and the Phase 90 on there. So I have updated it recently with some of the pedals. It's got the Neutron and the VC340. Yeah, it's pretty. When did I update that? 22nd of June. So that's not that long ago I updated that. Inky, did you want to show something?
Yeah, I can try and show you my studio. Right, hold on.
Yeah.
So if I go. Ooh. Right. So this section.
That's cool.
Is the jamming section. So we've got circuits, bass, mono station, DJ Chaos thingy, neutral. So it's like the kind of jamming bit. And then over there we've got some synths with the, I can turn it over there, got some synths with the Force. And then here you can see the project I'm working on there with the launch control and the MPC. And the main goal is 2 MPCs, maybe 2 launch controls with a bit of this, if I can You can see that. So that kind of thing.
Nice.
But that's a long way away yet.
Yeah.
That's a year away. So that's. Oh, we've got the Volkers round the back and some records and stuff. So I'll just try and put you back a bit. Yeah. So that's my studio.
That's cool.
Cool. And lots of junk on the floor, like monitors.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure those people in the chat would have been really, really interested in that. Yeah, I liked how you've kind of got stations in a way.
Yeah.
You can see your thinking behind how you've got your things set up. So it's probably like with me. I kind of set things up, and they sort of form like a purpose. And then if I get bored with it, I'll pack it away, and then I'll set something else up. The main part of my setup that I use when I'm doing stuff is literally just here. So at the moment it's a complete and utter mess, but I've got 2 tiers. You can move the camera a little bit for you guys, so you can see there's the TR8, there's the peak. At the moment that's sitting here because I was using it for a video, but that will go in a minute. And I've got a mini log there, and MPC Live, and I usually have another bunch of stuff along here, and there's a Blofeld there. So it really just depends on what I'm doing at the time, I guess. So yeah, that's my setup. But I also have, you can see further back, I've got like another camera section over there. So if anyone who knows my channel, I do those videos with the green matties and shooting from above, and I do sort of like almost forensic sort of stuff where I might take something apart, use a soldering iron, and you can see over there at the moment there's a modular system, the MS-101's there, and that's kind of like a test area for me. It's I don't really know.
I've got that's where I shoot my videos, and I've got another makeshift kind of idea for a camera holder, which is more polystyrene and gaffer tape and a great big metal pole. It's on like a light. Do you want me to show you it?
Yeah, you can show.
It's go on then.
Go for it.
Shall I bring it to you? Can you see it? I don't know.
Yep, can see it now. Yep.
That's it. That's what holds my camera up.
Nice. So if anyone's wondering, I might actually, I think that might be something that people would be interested in. Some of the gear that I use for doing YouTube, it can, like Inky and I've talked about it offline, it can be expensive. But you can also do it on the cheap too, so you don't have to have all this fancy gear. So for example, I've got one of those same mic as Inky. It's an NT1 from Rode, and mine's on like those arms that stretch out. So you should be able to see it if I do that. One of those arms there. And then this camera here above us, might be able to let me do it. There's the camera there. Actually, you guys can't see anything because I haven't actually shown you. Okay, there's the camera. Let me go to me full. There's the camera there. Now that's the above shot, and that's called a C stand. So these you can just get off Amazon or whatever, and they're only about $100, those C stands. And that C stand goes for miles. I don't know how far that's going to let me film. That goes for ages. Look how long that thing is. See that? And on the other side, I can't show you because it's kind of almost impossible to show you. I'll go back to this view here because I need to get my camera back. That on the other side has a like a sandbaggy sort of thing. So the weight is sorry, what am I saying? Where the camera was, that's quite heavy, right? And on the other side there's like a big pole, and on the other side of the pole you can actually hang weights off of it so it doesn't tip over. And they're called C stands. C as in the letter C. So they're in the photography section of those sort of things that if you're after. So that's what I'm using, and that's a Sony, like a 4K camera that I use. And yeah, I mean, now to record a lot of stuff that I've recorded, I just record on the SD cards on the camera. And if I've got multiple cameras, I'll just do the clap thing. And then
yes.
You just use Adobe Premiere and it brings it all together for you. In terms of...
is that how you edit your videos? Because
yeah.
I use Logic. I have to separate the sound and that's what I'm using.
So because we do music and audio, is my channel is based on that. I always record my audio separately as well, so that way I can, if I need to do any post-production editing to clean up if it's like a noisy channel or something like that, I'll do that in audio. What do you call it? It's part of the Adobe suite that you get for the the subscription. Adobe Audition, I think it's called. If you go into Premiere, you can right-click and edit audio files, and it opens up another application. I think it's called Audition. You can do it doesn't have to be Audition. You can use SoundForge, free thing. It doesn't have to be. You can be whatever you want. So I just used Audition because it's there, and I use the Zoom. It's up there on that rack up there. It's a Zoom H6 mic recorder, and it's got multiple inputs. So if I just want, I've talked about this in my videos, if I just want to record directly out of the instrument or directly, what I'm doing, so that way it's not, people don't get a sense that it's post-production, trickery or anything like that. The Zooms are really good for that. They're not that expensive. You don't have to get a H6. You can just start with one of those H2s or a H4. You can get them pretty cheap secondhand.
I've got the H4, but it eats batteries. And they're brilliant. I think everyone needs one, don't they?
Yeah.
Everyone needs one. That's
a really good point. They do eat batteries. So what I would recommend anyone is getting one of these things. Because you can power your Zooms off of the USB cable.
But you have to buy the USB cable.
Yeah, but maybe.
Yeah, but you still people.
I've got them lying around.
No, because it's a special one. On the H4, it's not your normal USB. What is it called?
Micro USB or mini USB, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different one.
Oh, okay.
Right, so.
Yep, I get what you're saying.
I've got a controller for the TV that uses one, and I had to get a special one that was powered for that. So that's worth mentioning because I had to look around for that. Well, it was on the internet, but they don't actually. They're good, they're brilliant, but when you say about if you're wondering about post-production trickery, do you think that's a real problem?
I've had people ask me, like, if I'm demonstrating, say that SH-01A or the analog drive, and they've asked me like, have you edited the audio? So generally, my rule of thumb is if you're doing this sort of stuff, you want to sort of give people the opportunity to have a listen to something as close to what you hear in your ears when you're doing it to what they can hear on YouTube. Now, bearing in mind, everyone knows YouTube does fiddle with the compression on the audio and stuff like that a little bit. So it's going to be slightly, dynamic for them, but it's going to be pretty close. And I do believe that if you can demonstrate something and you're not sort of doing any trickery, like in other words, you're not putting something into Adobe Live and then adding special, things like isotonic or those isotopic.
No.
If you're just doing it raw, they'll appreciate it because then they're saying, it's like when I started with this video today, I said, do you guys mind if I have the delay on? I'll turn it off if you like, and no one really cared. But that's the sort of thing. If you leave a delay or an effect on and they don't want to hear the effect, whose effect's that? Why is that effect on? Like I've done a video years ago where I was comparing a Volca FM to a DX7, and some of the comparison patches I had an effect on, and some I didn't, and they were getting angry because I didn't always have the effect on things like that. People get angry with that sort of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I mean, but if anybody asks me, I record it on a computer because it's just easier than recording it on the Zoom than the computer. But there's nothing on the channel. In fact, I just put a YouTube video up that I had to take down because there's something wrong with it. I think I had it on surround sound, maybe, when I bounced it out. But yeah, I've never had that problem. No one's really asked that.
Yeah, I think it's it just depends on whether you get someone grumpy on the day or not. But
I do kind of like those videos with people in the park. You know, when people bother to go actually and take their stuff to the park and they make a really cool video. I really quite like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I did a video. When was it? With the MPC Live. When I first got it, I didn't have much of a time to play with it, and then I had to fly to a different city in Australia, and I thought, I'm taking it with me because this thing's got a battery in it. And so I was trying it on the airplane, and the air hostess come up to me, and she's like, "What is that? That's not a laptop. Is that a bomb?" No, she didn't say that. But she's like, "What is that?" And I said, "That's a it's called
music
an MPC. You make beats on it. You make music on it. It's a sampler." And she goes, "Oh, you're a musician." I went, "Yeah, kind of." And then we were talking about what it does, and I think she got bored and left. And then when I got to the hotel, I did a video of me doing a jam on it, and I only brought my mobile phone with me. So I had a little those little stands that you can buy to hold your mobile phone up. So I had that, and because I knew I was going to do a video, and I plugged all of the audio into the back of the mobile phone because my mobile phone has a jack input. Let's get back there again. And I recorded the whole thing on my mobile phone in one take, and I put it up on YouTube, and I got heaps of dislikes because I wasn't doing multi-camera angles and, full-on professional recording studio with the, $300,000 cameras and it just annoyed me because it was the most real thing that I've probably ever done was one take, and literally I just pressed play and that was it.
Do you really want those people anyway? I mean,
nah.
What if they? If you go to those people's channel, I guarantee they won't have one video. They're the sort of people who haven't even put a video.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're the ones.
I get jealous of my friends. There's some people on here that put up videos in the chat, and I'm like, how did you do that? Have you got iMovie? Because I haven't got anything that new to do iMovie. And I'm like, but they all know on my channel, they're just going to get what they get. So I got into my third year of uni. I didn't tell you.
Congrats.
On my YouTube channel. It was as easy as that. I didn't have to apply and all that rubbish. It was basically really easy. And one phone call and my YouTube channel. And I was a bit worried about it. And he said, "Oh, we can help you with your video." And all I could think of is, how much is the camera going to cost? Because
it's expensive.
Once you start getting into professional, where's the line? And it's all expensive, and that could be more musical equipment. Do you know what I mean? There has to be a balance of what you're trying to do. Because like you said before, the real money isn't in YouTube, it's about performance. And if you want to make a living, that's what you've got to try and aim for. The rest is fun.
Very wise words. I agree, and I think I do get caught up in some of the gear. Well, we call it gas, don't we? So I do get caught up in the gas.
But we do.
Yeah.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
You do.
The camera stuff, I've only got the other camera I've got is I've shown you before, Inky, the Canon DSLR, and I use that. So you guys would notice that some of the thumbnails that I do like that real sort of bokeh sort of photos where you see some of it in focus and some of it not, and I just use the Canon for that. But you can do that with your mobile phone now. Like those, the Android operating system has like a filter where you can do the blurry sort of bokeh sort of photos just with an app now. So you don't need those fancy cameras anymore. But I did get the DSLR probably about two or 3 years ago, because when I started doing Probably 2016, I think it was. So that's probably 3 years ago now. When I started doing a lot more sort of more serious videos, where I was like actually pulled apart an SE-02 Boutique, got a macro lens, and I was zoomed in on all the electronics, and I wanted to make that video look. I wanted it to be 4K and make it look really crisp and perfect, and
That's a bit scary. Did you
take? Scary.
Yeah. Did it all? You put it back together, yeah?
I'm completely fine with electronics. Those who know me, I pull stuff apart. So, except,
I could do that. I could. I'm into that. I fixed my own decks, and I've fixed mixers. In fact, I've bodged a few expensive mixers when Vestax wouldn't give me the parts.
Except, do you remember how I was telling you about my MXR flanger pedal?
Yeah.
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Did it burn out?
I don't know what I've done with it, but can you guys see? See that little wire, the red wire there, next to my finger?
Yeah.
When I plugged the wrong power in, it actually lifted the whole, like on the electronics, I've got tracks on them where you can see the circuits.
Yeah.
It lifted the track off the circuit board, so obviously it got hot there. So I had to put that bodge wire on. So that's the first thing that I've worked out on how to fix it, but it still doesn't work. So I've still got more to fix. So that thing's going to be a work in progress, I think. So I'm not scared with that stuff though. That doesn't scare me.
I was a bit lazy because I had my pair of Technics here. I can fix them, but I got to the stage where, when you keep thinking about things and you don't do it, and you go, oh no, it's been sitting there for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So I sent them off, but the guy took ages. But I used to be into all that sort of things. I quite like that. I quite like electronics.
Yeah, it's good. Look, even if you don't know much about it, I always say to someone, the first time that someone shows you how to use a soldering iron and you can build something or fix something with a soldering iron, it's kind of like, it's a rush. Once you've done it, it's like, unless you're completely not into it, then you'll know. But most people, once they've actually physically done soldering and have tried it out, it's a brilliant thing, and you can fix things,
So I've got a bit of advantage.
Yeah.
My dad was a goldsmith, so he hand soldered gold.
Oh wow!
Right. That's what I grew up with. He had a little workbench, and they made these things. They didn't cast them, so he'd be soldering and all that sort of stuff, and he was quite into all sorts. But my thing came when my first mixer broke. So it was a Vestax mixer, and they're quite expensive, and I didn't have much money at the time. And this is like back in the 90s, and they wanted 50 quid for the crossfader, and 50 quid for the crossfader and 50 quid for each of the upfaders. So I went to Maplin's to try and get the right ohmage, the right, is it the ohmage you've got to be careful of, and all that.
Yep.
But they'd made it in a weird ohmage that only they could supply, that wasn't standard. So I was like a bit disappointed, because I was thinking, I'm never going to make this thing work. I haven't got 150 quid to spend. A couple of weeks later, I was rummaging around in some shop that it looked like it should belong in the 70s, and I found this weird piece of kit with these sliders in it, and I took it home and I kind of took it apart and found out the sliders were the right ohmage, so I had to bodge them back onto the mixer. So I kind of built very heavy, like bits of wood and bits of gaff tape, and put them back in the mixer, and the mixer worked. So, and I actually made it stereo, so each fader was stereo. So I was quite proud of that. That's my little story, because otherwise I'd have just had no music for years. So I don't even know where that went as well. I think someone might have stole it, because I don't seem to have it. So I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, while you're talking about that, I just thought I'd set up my little camera here, and you can see I've actually zoomed in now with my camera, and my finger's going to make a nasty shadow, so I'll just use a pen. So you can see now where I've done that bodge wire here.
Yeah.
So literally the circuit that goes between the back of this DC, that's where you plug your DC power connector into the back of your pedal, right?
Yeah.
It literally got so hot that these are all the tracks here, right? See all the little tracks? Yeah. One of those tracks lifted off the board to the point where if you got a multimeter and you wanted to do that continuity test where it beeps, do you know where you can get a circuit, it'll make a beep sound, where it doesn't get a circuit, it doesn't, right? So I was getting no circuit, and now that I've put that bodge wire back on there, the circuit's working. So that's my first repair to this, but there's definitely more things wrong with this. So now I've got to go over this side of it, and I've got to test wherever the DC power goes in, which I think is just there in between those two potentiometers. So I'm going to have to test all of these resistors and capacitors. There's a few electrolytic, there's a few, and some of these are tiny. See how small some of those are?
And you've got to get those,
I'm going to have to go right into this, like, I don't even know how far this thing was going.
You see, this is where I'd kind of give up. I'm interested, but I'm not.
There you go. Here's a close-up for you. So
see there, look at that. Look at the side. So you've got to get in there with a pair of each connection.
I'll have to use like a I've got a light that's got a magnifying glass thing on it. So because my eyes are just about, I'm an old man now, so I mean even now I'm using reading glasses for this. So yeah, I mean you can see it's actually really good that you've got cameras, because I've actually under that table over there I've got a big 27-inch monitor, and I can put that. And there's another camera over there I can put above, plug it into the HDMI input of the monitor.
Oh, yeah.
And I can
like
literally,
a big magnifying.
I won't even need a magnifying glass. I can do this.
Yeah.
So you can see there's resistors, capacitors. It's got R9 for resistors, C5 for capacitors. It's pretty easy to work out this stuff. And there's a diode there. There's the electrolytic capacitors are the bigger ones that look like cylinders.
Round, circles.
And then you've got ceramic capacitors over there. And there's a few ICs here as well. So the ICs are the chips. So any of that stuff there could completely. You can see how big that is, by the way, because there's my finger. It's tiny, isn't it?
The little kind of resistor kind of things. Can you, if they blow, is there any way they change shape? Can you feel it?
Oh, most of them will literally just disintegrate on the board if they blow. Because there's a code for them. So you get your multimeter out, and and it will tell you what resistance is. I've checked most of that stuff around here, but that's where you can see that's where the DC part is. It's getting catched. See where you plug the DC in there?
Yeah.
And you can see on the other side where my little bodge cable. I'm working backwards here. It's starting to get blurry now because it's so far zoomed in. That's where the bodge cable is, but it's two-sided board, so.
Are they coded now? Because they used to have like little stripes on them, didn't they? Used to have little coloured stripes.
Yeah. So these ones you can actually see they've got they actually have a number written on them now. So,
oh, cool, right? Because that's the last time I looked at a circuit is when like things had stripes on them. That's yeah.
They had the resistors have coloured stripes, and you have a chart, and I think. Minimum of 3 bands, so you're looking at. I think the first 2 make up your number, and the third is your multiplier. So it's pretty simple. Yeah,
that's the kind of thing.
Unless you're colourblind, because I think I'm actually a little bit colourblind. You'd be actually pretty screwed if you were colourblind. I was looking at resistors in the old with the coloured stripes. You'd be pretty screwed if you couldn't see the difference between a red and a brown. Or a green and red, you would be screwed.
Don't be an electrician, please.
Do not be an electrician. You'd literally. The only way you'd know is you'd have to get a multimeter out and test it, and then how do you know if it's not working properly?
And how do you know which to switch?
Yeah, I was actually thinking. Tell me in the chat what you guys think as well. Wouldn't that be cool? I could do a video where we could all repair this live, and this thing. And like get some experts in because I have no idea what I'm looking for, and I can put all this in front of me and put the multimeter, and people can say, "Hey, try this, try that." I reckon that'd be good fun. I mean, I'm a nerd, so I like that sort of stuff.
But you'll know if they're not experts, right? I mean,
try this thing. Put 240 volts into that.
add a bit of water.
There's a famous YouTuber there who literally he keeps playing with power, and like I reckon he's going to kill himself the way he's playing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He's quite famous. He plays with power all the time and blows things up. But yeah, like Sam from Look Mum No Computer. I'm not talking about Sam. He's pretty cool. But I mean, at least
Sam knows what he's doing. Sam knows what he's doing.
I should get Sam on here. I know he's probably too busy for me, but yeah, he'd know what to look for. No, I've got some mates, and I actually there's a guy that I know who runs a business here and repairs synths and amplifiers and guitars and stuff like that. And he's been doing it for years, and he's not the most personality sort of person, but I reckon that it would be interesting to take my camera and say to him, hey, would it be okay if I filmed while you're doing a repair, and you can talk about what you're actually doing? I reckon people would be interested in that. I've seen videos where guys in the US have repaired like Moogs, and they've talked about what's wrong with it, and plugged it in and showed what's wrong with it, and then they've repaired it, shown the repair, and then they've played it afterwards. And I actually found that quite interesting. But that's me.
Yeah, I've watched things like that. I've watched loads of take apart video things.
Yeah, you sit there with your jam toast. What else do you want to do on a Saturday morning? Sit there with your jam toast and watch someone pull something apart.
Yeah, and it's a synth. So yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's a synth.
Yeah.
But who feels sorry for me that this famous MXR, flanger pedal, which Giorgio Moroder made famous, I reckon, it doesn't work because I was an idiot. So
yeah, but it's led to this great experience.
Yeah, experience.
And maybe the guy in the shop as well.
Big shout out to Xils-labs, who's just joined us. It's great to see you, mate. Keep talking, Inky.
Well, and maybe the idea of you going to do some videos with this guy in the shop.
Well, maybe. I'm just thinking of ideas. I mean, that sort of stuff requires quite a bit of effort. So, there's a couple of. I forgot to shout out to Atomic Robot too, by the way. So hi to you. There's a couple of things that I'm thinking of doing, and I just don't know whether I've got the ability to do it or it's because I'm shy or inhibited in some sort of way. But if you make go. My method is, if you don't make it too serious and fun, then no one can have a go at you, can they? They can't say, oh, you weren't professional enough, and you were like, well, I wasn't meaning to be professional, and you know what I mean. Well, I didn't find it funny. Well, and I'm sorry about that. I try my best. If you're trying to be us,
super slick and super, then you do have to be good, because getting it half wrong looks rubbish.
Yeah.
But if you just make it purposely a bit, not the best it could be, then you just be you, and then it kind of gets rid of all that awkwardness, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at Nick, for all the cameras he's got, he's just being him.
Yeah.
That's why people like him.
He's got a. I mean, I definitely agree with you there. He's got a, he does have a bit of what do I say? He knows when something's a bit naff. So he'll even admit it. He'll say, I don't know if we should have done that. That was a bit naff. So he knows kind of when it's dropping below. He's got a level that he'll accept. Do you know what I mean? So he does have a bit of a quality about him, which I do like, and he's a bit incessant about that. But yeah, like with me, I don't want to sort of talk about other people that aren't here too much. But with me, I think I kind of want to. I like doing this. Like the live stream's a cool thing, but I kind of want to bring some content to the channel that other people aren't doing. That's, for me, is quite important. I don't want to just be another channel doing stuff with synths, and there's a lot of people doing it now. So, and I've been doing it for a while, so I don't want to be someone just bringing that sort of same thing. Oh, here's a new synth, that sort of stuff. Like I've always said, I like to bring content up where I found something out. Here's something I found out that this can do, and it's not in the manual. That's sort of where I've always come from. Or like I said, that there's a couple of guys just down the road here who have a modular meetup, And I was thinking about taking my camera in there, because not only do they do modular stuff, but they help you build your own modules as well. So there's, that could be interest for people that are into Eurorack. And I've only just started getting into Eurorack myself. So all that sort of stuff. Anyway, before we go any further, there's a couple of questions in the chat room which I think are worth answering. Andrew Brooks has asked, any idea how to get the Volkers not to start their own sequencer when I start the BeatStep Pro? It's driving me nuts. So the answer is the Volkers will always start the sequencer. I don't know about the brand new Volkers that have only just come out, like the new drum one, and I've got the Volker modular, but I still think it starts when you start it. I don't think there's a way to turn it off. I've looked through the manuals. Those manuals are terrible to read. They stretch out to be this massive, huge piece of paper. I don't think there's a way. So in some sense, there's a way you can actually turn it. You've got a MIDI clock, and it says auto, internal, external, those sort of settings. And if you set it to internal, external MIDI clock start, stop, won't start it. Another way to get around it, Andrew, would be to use something like a MIDI filter device, and you can get yourself like a MIDI pal, MIDI bro, MIDI gal. They're the same thing, and you can actually prevent start-stop messages from going through. So the Volker will only get note or any other type of CC messages other than start-stop. So you can filter those start-stop messages out, and those MIDI pals are pretty cheap. You can get them, just off of eBay. They're pretty cheap now. 888 Berg is asking, I've had similar issues with other equipment. Oh, so he's talking about the BeatStep Pro. So as far as I know, Volkers will not. You don't have a setting to stop the start-stop unless you filter it out. The other option is to not send a start-stop, which you can do in your DAW, and I think the MPC Live, is that right, Inky? I think they've got an option in there where you can disable start-stop to be sent in the MPC Live. That's just an example. So that's a sequencer, hardware sequencer, where there's a setting in the back where you can tell it, I don't want to send out start-stop messages. And when you play a track, it will still play the note data through that MIDI channel. So that's another option. Cool.
Just as an interest, does the BeatStep Pro stop it on every new sequence? So if he stops the Volkers,
no, it'll just a MIDI start-stop message is only when you literally hit the play or the stop button. That doesn't do it on every sequence.
So the very worst, you could turn the Volkers down and stop them individually.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. So you just turn the volume down,
that's how
start them, and then turn it back up.
And then you stop because what I did on my Volkers is the Volker keys, I had MIDI messages sending it off a MIDI pad, like a Trigger Finger Pro, like a BeatStep Pro. And then I had another sequence on the actual Volker. So what I did there, I think, is I played the start-stop, then stopped the Volker, then turned the volume of the Volker up so I've got what I want playing, and then pressed play again on the Volker. But it's a bit of a workaround, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's like a lot of the gear. If we're doing hardware, these are the quirky things that we have to live with hardware. So sometimes they're frustrating quirkiness like that. That is to me a frustrating thing, and Korg should know better. MIDI standards been out for that long now. They should know that you should implement a local and an external MIDI clock setting. And look, I could be wrong. Go into the manuals, Andrew. Go to the Volker that you own and go into the manual and see if it's got it in there, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But yeah.
Couldn't it be on the Arturia? Because, like you say, the MPC and the circuit.
It's not on the BeatStep that I know of. I can have a look.
It's like, you see, it's on the circuit. That's why I bought the circuit instead of the BeatStep Pro. You can turn, So really, as a sequencer, it's not really the Volker's fault, is it? It's that sequencer should be able to do that. Well, it's just a sequencer.
No one's really at fault. to be honest.
No, but it's a little bit annoying when you've bought something which is a very specific product. It doesn't make a noise, it just sequences.
Yeah.
And I know that you have to change stuff through the computer. So maybe if he actually asked Arturia or somebody asked them, they could change that. Because it's only on the software on the computer, surely.
Yeah, and while I was talking to you too, I have the MIDI control center set up here.
Right, cool.
But if I want to go to device settings, guess what I have to do? I've got to plug it in, and I don't have it. It's in that cupboard. But yeah, if you want to wait a sec, I can go grab it, turn it on, have a look, and I can give Inky the floor for a second while I go grab it. Let me just do that. Inky, talk, go.
What are you all drinking? Has anybody broken out the alcohol yet? That's what I want to know. It's getting late. It's getting late round here. I'm trying to think of some musical questions. Has anybody got any questions? Let's have a look in the chat room.
Never leave a YouTube channel unattended when it's on a live stream.
People are agreeing it's beer o'clock.
I'm back. Here we go. Look at that. BeatStep Pro. Okay, so let's see if I can work out how to plug this thing in. Okay, so we need one of those cables. These are the cables that you reckon. Who reckons these were like one of the worst inventions out of the USB format? USB micro. Definitely the bad one. Okay.
They're okay for phones, aren't they?
Yeah, but when you've got gear and you're having to plug it in and plug it out, and over about a year of using it every day, they break.
That is the one big thing about the KeyStep and the BeatStep Pro, isn't it? That's the one thing people are moaning about, is it broke because it's tiny, and it depends on that for its power as well, doesn't it?
Yep.
So if that goes, you really are kind of left with no option.
Yeah, if I talk about setting things up in the middle of a YouTube stream, but that's what I'm here for. Look at the dedication. Whoa.
Keeping it live.
Keeping it real, keeping it live. Here we go. And you know what? I ain't going to even be able to do this. Boom.
Woo! Okay. That's professional, that.
So now we have, and it's recognized it. So now if I go to this view, transition, here we go. Device settings. Yay! It's recognized it. Okay, so what we're looking for, Inky, is
start, stop.
Start, stop. Global it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you'd think so. It would be on a. If it's not there, I'm quite disappointed, Arturia. You know what I mean? I mean, come on.
I'm looking. If anyone in chat sees it, like you guys are looking at the same stuff as us, and I'm under pressure here. I'm on a YouTube live channel right now. I'm under pressure. Can't find it. Here we go. Sync. Could be sync. Is it sync?
Yeah, it might be under sync.
Clock in and out settings. Here we go. No, that's not it. Metronome transports.
Transport might be.
There you go.
Yeah? Is it on it?
Andrew, you still around? Are you looking, Andrew? Sing out and chat if you're looking. This is for you, mate. We're doing this for you. Under transports, go into your Arturia MIDI control center. Plug your USB into the back of your BeatStep Pro so that it registers that it's connected to this software. And then try one of these settings. See how it's got transports off, MIDI, MMC, and both. If you just change it to off first. I'd change it to off and see if it still sends the note data out when you press play on here. So I wonder if there's a way I can test this.
I've seen those before on the MPC, isn't it? I think Yeah, have you got something you could hook it up to quick?
MIDI, what do you call it? MIDI monitor. There you go. Okay, so if I press play, whoa. Okay, yeah, it did send a start message. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
And it said clock, and that's when I hit
Try
play.
Try it on MMC, is it?
Hang on, if I set this, does it instantly change it, or do I have to send the change? I think it instantly, doesn't it? MIDI. Let's try MIDI. Yeah, it sent it. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, it's still sent start and stop. Now, what I don't know though is this is actually just reading off the USB port. So the actual back of this might be different. Andrew's going to be the best person to look. He says he's looking, but when you plug it into the back, the USB port's in the back of this, it might not send that stuff out.
Try the next one down. I think it's next one down.
MMC's the one which is MIDI clock. Okay.
Okay.
And both is MIDI and MIDI clock data. So that's the one you don't want. The MMC
so why
one.
is well?
I had mine on both.
So why is it still sending?
Like I said, I think it's because the MIDI monitor that I've got is only listening to the USB.
Yeah.
So it needs to. I need to plug it in another USB MIDI into here. I haven't got that right now. It's like I have to go away to the cupboard and get another MIDI thing. It's just not worth it. But Andrew said he needs to update it. Update it, mate. It's not going to hurt you. Just update it now, and when that's done, it only takes a couple of minutes to update it, and you can try it out. And we can talk about something else while we're at it, because
this is my little thing about how removed the product is from what you want it to do. It would really, you want that kind of thing on the device in a way, don't you?
On the sequencer, yep.
Yeah,
So he's got a couple of options now from us. He's got 3. He's got you can just turn a volume down and manually stop that, which is probably what he's doing. You can try these settings in the MIDI control center, which might work. I think that's what it's for. It's under transports. And then the other option is to use a MIDI filter, like a MIDI Pro, MIDI GAL, MIDI PAL device, which I've shown you guys before on the channel.
If that transport should definitely work, though. That's what I believe it is, isn't it? That's exactly what it is.
I reckon that's
messages?
What it is, yeah. Whenever I mention MIDI PAL, MIDI Bro, MIDI GAL, this is what I'm talking about. This thing, it's just a box, right? You can buy them. That one's a MIDI. Sorry about the glare. That one's a MIDI Bro, right? And all it is, it's got MIDI in and out, and you just power it from DC.
Yeah.
And literally, this does a whole. It's like a MIDI toolbox. It does a whole bunch of stuff. It's got little programs in here, and you just select the program. It's got a sequencer. It's got an arpeggiator. It's got anything to do with MIDI. But one of the things it's called a MIDI filter. And I did a video recently showing this, if you're interested, where I actually showed how you can get the Volca FM. What do you call it? Velocity to work with this.
So how much was that then? Because I've not seen that before.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a while ago since I bought it. Let's see if they still are around.
Because that's quite a handy little box if it's a reasonable price.
MIDI GAL is the only one that I think still you can buy. It's from midisizer.com. It's a project. So
right, okay.
You have to build it. But you can buy them pre-built. Okay, here we go. Let me show you. Let's give Midisizer a bit of a free plug, hey? Okay, ready to the Mac screen. Okay, guys are interested in MIDI Pro, it's basically the Mutable Instruments MIDI Power that originally came out. So this is MIDI GAL, and see how it's got these different programs that you can run, like a MIDI clock, MIDI ARP, sequencer, dispatcher, a sync, grids. It's got all these different programs you can run. So to buy it, where are we? That one looks better than mine. It's clear case. It's pretty cool. Here we go. So you can buy the PCB for $20. Geez, is there like a price for the whole thing? Okay, we think we have to add it up. $30 for the case, $10 for the processor, and $20 for the PCB. So what's that? 50,
20, what?
$60.
60. Yeah. That's good.
Fully assembled in an acrylic case for $145 plus shipping. If you don't want to solder it yourself. So what is it? $60 to do it yourself, or $145 to get someone to do it for you. And then if you want to know more, you email Pete at kvitech.com for details, and it's all on that midisizer.com/MIDIGAL. If you're interested. Now that's a free plug. I don't even know these guys, but anyway.
And is that case like a Pi case? Do you know what I mean?
No, they're a little. I don't even know if they're even an Arduino in here. They're just they're a different type of. I'm not opening this up, but this one was from Audio Thingies. Do you remember how I was talking about Audio Thingies recently? They've released like a drum machine thing. So yeah, they do little projects as well, but they don't make this one anymore. I still talk to the guy though that runs Audio Thingies. He's from France. So, but MIDIGAL is still making them. So I don't know how much longer these guys are going to make them for, because they're kind of getting old. But if you're still doing a lot of MIDI stuff, I would definitely recommend getting yourself one of those and yeah, learning how to use it. It's actually pretty cool. So be careful with when you're buying these sort of kit things. Sometimes you can get them and you have to solder all the small surface mount components, the SMCs. You might have to do that, and that is an absolute nightmare if you've never done really any soldering yourself.
Yeah, no.
I can't even remember how bad this was. Most of it was through hole on this one, so it wasn't too bad. And it came with the processor already soldered onto the PCB, so I didn't have to do the processor. That was easy. Okay. Micro Monsters, yeah, something that the Audio Thingies guys do, but Midisizer don't do. That's a different company, so we're not talking about the same people. Okay, so let's see if Andrew has come back to us yet. He's saying it's updating. he's happy. Cool. Yeah, look. I mean, look. You don't have to go get one of those MIDIGAL or MIDI POW things. I don't think you need to go get one. I'm just saying that for those who are watching and they've got a problem that MIDI's causing, and sometimes it can be solved with a filter. And all a filter is, it's like, think of all the MIDI stuff coming through. It's like a digital message, right? And a filter's like a rule that says, okay, if I don't want that particular message to come through, then just throw it out. And so the rest that's coming on the other side through the through port filters whatever you don't want. And that could be the clock start-stop messages, or it could be, in the case of the Volca FM, in that case a filter was adding like it was reading one part
the velocity
of it, yeah, and then adding it to a different to a different CC message. And I in the video I'll show you guys the video.
That's not very well known, because I only thought the retro kits could do that for the Volca FM. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you can do it. You can do it with a DAW as well, especially if you've got Ableton Live and you've got what do you call it? Max for Live.
Right.
So you can do it with that. What do you call it? Velocity. Sorry, I'm just trying to search for this at the same time. Here we go. All right. Now, I don't know if this is going to show this properly. Okay, here we go.
Why
Hey everyone, just a super quick video. I keep getting a lot of questions about the Volca FM. And basically, is that coming through? Everyone is saying,
I can hear it off the computer, it's not coming through the stream. I can hear it off your speakers.
There we go. Okay, let's go back. Sorry guys. I was wondering where that was coming from. It sounded different, and all it is, I've got the wrong sound output setting. Output, why is that not showing? Well, okay, I'm not gonna play that video. It's I'll just quickly show you. My Mac has completely lost the Presonus Studio Live mixer out of there. You can see here, this is my outputs. I cannot select any. And the only way to fix it, because it's Firewire, this is how bad Firewire is for me to turn my mixer on and off. And guess what will happen if I do that in the middle of a live stream?
We'll have no sound.
So forget about the video. Anyway, it's on my channel. It's called Volca FM Velocity Fix, and yeah, I actually do go into the detail of actually how to do that. So, and I think I even let you download the sysx file for it. So if you've got a MIDI PAL, a MIDI GAL, or a MIDI Bro, or whatever they're called, you can download the sysx, and then you've got yourself a Volca FM Velocity jobber dobber.
Cool. But on the whole MIDI sequencers, this is where I think people have got to really do their homework and ask their questions before. You know, because some sequencers don't do exactly what you want them to do. So you have to watch loads of videos. Don't just go for what everyone else is telling you, to use.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Oops. Keep talking, because I'm going to take off the BeatStep Pro while we're talking.
Because I knew I was going to go into my get a Neutron, and I kind of wanted a BeatStep Pro, but at the time I just got the Deep Mind, so I got the circuit for some reason. I really liked that, but that led to the mono station controlling the Neutrons. So, it's funny. Just have a look around at because there's loads of choices there, aren't there?
Yeah.
But it always seems to be the latest. Do you know what I mean? It's always kind of like, should we get the latest? But like the BeatStep Pro was it's quite a big jump, wasn't it? It was the first decent, reasonable kind of sequencer that we'd had in quite some time, with modular and all the connections you wanted, wasn't it?
I think I actually don't really use it. I probably should sell it. For me, though, it was kind of I've never seen anything like it. That was kind of what got me interested and the fact that it had the multiple channels. It had sequencer 1, sequencer 2, and the drum channel. Yeah. And then it had songs and all sorts of stuff. But then it kind of, Arturia didn't really do themselves any justice with it. The firmware on it was a bit naff, I think. And then it took about a year for them to actually release a firmware upgrade on it that was decent. They did firmware upgrades. I'm not saying they didn't, but they did a massive firmware upgrade on it. I don't know if it was 2 years ago, or it was a little bit, like quite a long way after they released the actual original. And yeah. It wasn't until then that it had these cool features like ratcheting. It was all sorts of new sort of things. I can't remember now, but there were things like you could then program a Volca. I'm trying to get the name of the thing. Volca sample, out of the drum, so you didn't have to trigger each sample notes and things like that. Yeah. You could all that sort of stuff, right? And there was all these cool new features, but they should have had all of that in the original, and thing would have sold so much better.
Yeah.
To me, that there's little mistakes that some of the manufacturers make like that, and it kind of annoys me. And the big ones like Korg and Roland do it as well. So I don't know why that they do it. Whether it's because we are kind of beta testers a bit. It's a good discussion. But do you think a lot of the manufacturers put products out? They know it's like design from a design point of view. The way it looks pretty much it's they don't need to change the way it looks like. So here's the boutique, right? They know that that's pretty much what they're going to go for. But the actual software that's running this behind the digital firmware that's in here.
I feel like a beta tester with the Akai Force.
Yeah.
I'm kind of. I feel really like that for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm crossing my fingers, going, well, if they don't do some serious updates, I'm going to have to sell this second hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the first time I've really experienced it. But because of the NPCs and the way they've updated those, I've got hope. But I also know people. I don't want to bash a company, but Elektron with the Digitact and Overbridge, that was ridiculous. You can't sell a product and promise people that they might be able to link it into their computer and it take 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, that's something that should have been there from day one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or they shouldn't have.
No, you're completely. I completely agree with that. That's probably one of the better examples, isn't it? So, yeah. I was just gonna say, we were looking at the boutique before, right? And you know how I was saying that they think sometimes that they get the hardware perfect, so therefore, because they've got the hardware perfect, so in this case they think that they've got this perfect, they can release kind of like almost an imperfect firmware on it, and then they release firmware updates. Now I understand why firmware updates are important, and I'm completely not saying that manufacturers shouldn't have to do firmware updates. I'm not saying that. I think they're important. But what I'm saying is that they should never have to do like software that's not complete, like what Inky was saying about the Elektron. So, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Inky.
I mean, it's the same product, but if you sell a product to they're all working in computers. The majority of people work in computers who are musicians, and then you sell them. And for a lot of people, the Digitact was their first hardware. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people went out and bought a Digitact who had never bought hardware before. I've seen quite a lot of that. So for you not to be able to use it for 2 years on the only other thing you make music, they shouldn't have even promised it until it was ready, if you understand.
Yeah, I understand.
It's almost like don't tell us about it.
Yeah.
Unless
I think that the Akai MPC Live, definitely they did that. Like, why would you release? I mean, I love the MPC Live. You know that I'm not bashing the MPC Live. So for those who are watching the stream and they don't know me, know that I've got an MPC Live there. So does Inky. We love it.
Yeah, we love them.
So, but why did they release it without sidechain? Like, it took them ages to bring sidechain out, and everyone who is in mostly the beat industry would be sidechaining the absolute hell out of their stuff. I'm not saying that I wanted sidechain. I'm not saying that I'm using but it's like, it was almost like, duh, why didn't you put sidechain on it? And then there was a whole heap of other things that it didn't do, and it took them ages.
Well, I remember sending a request for an ARP, and I got a thing back saying, "Oh, thanks, we think that's a great idea." But I was like, "Well, why hasn't it got an ARP?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a huge.
Well,
one.
Yeah.
So
now, thankfully, they have the MPC, which is why I'm not selling the Force yet. They have done. They have given brilliant. Us more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they gave us effects.
What we're not talking about is where users have come and said, "Hey, this would be a great idea if it did this," and it's kind of left field. And then they've gone, "That's a great idea, let's do it." And they've implemented it. We're not talking about that. That's where firmware updates are brilliant. What we're talking about is dead obvious anomalies of this thing that it should have done from the start. Like, I probably used a bad example with the sidechain on the MPC Live. Your Digitact example was better. But that's what I'm saying. Like, dead honest anomalies of releasing something before really they'd polished it properly. We're not talking about, you know,
I'm trying to think of another thing that they've just released and it took forever. I can't really think of such a big clanger really as the
yeah. I know there are, and I just like I'm having a
uh,
mental blank right now.
yeah, I'm sure there's loads of them. I'm sure there's loads. But as for best company, well, I think Novation deserves that, don't they?
Well, that's the
Novation.
thing. They get. I mean, there's people that will disagree with me here, and they reckon that the Base Station 2 firmware was never perfect, and it missed. There was something that it didn't have. I didn't think that was a major thing. But geez, that firmware update. How old is the Base Station 2? Like, when did I get mine? 2013, 2014. So what's that? Probably 6 years. When did the firmware? Yeah, I'd say it's almost 6 years from when it originally came out that they did another firmware update. And that firmware update they did two of them actually. They did one where they enabled you to have 3 oscillators and all this other stuff, paraphonic mode, and then about a month later they bring out this Aphex Twin update where they've got this AFX mode. It was just crazy, this thing, and nobody's seen this before. It was actually like a new thing. Yes, there's been guys who have done videos where you can change patches really quick on synths, and that's kind of what AFX
Nick
mode
did
does.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Nick
it
did
was
one
kind
on
of Aphex Twin was saying, well, why can't we have a patch to each like piano note that we play and like,
change the
and someone's gone, we can do that, and it's like, boom, there's a firmware update, and then wow, how cool was that? That sort of stuff. They should be given an award for that. Do you know what I mean? That's the sort of stuff that should be getting awards for. That's brilliant.
They are definitely my favourite company for that reason. I mean, anybody who's moaning is forgetting they are giving you this for free. It's not a bug fix.
Yeah.
It's like they've gone.
So that's
it'd be good if
that's the example of a firmware update that isn't something that nobody ever asked for at the start, and it should have had at the start. That's an example of when a firmware update is needed, and it's a beautiful thing, and they get a pat on the back for. So we're just sort of what Inky and I are saying. They're kind of two different sides to it.
Well, the one thing I have learned, but one piece of advice I have learned about buying kit is not necessarily about the kit. It's about the company selling the kit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For exactly this reason. So I have my favourite companies I would buy from first for exactly this reason.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. It's not just the updates. It's a whole attitude. If that kit goes wrong, what is the attitude of the company going to be like?
Well,
so I know.
Xils-labs is saying that the Roland System 8 was a good example of that synth. When it first came out, it was pretty much the firmware on it was fine, and then they brought that firmware update. I don't know if you know much about the System 8, Inky, but they brought a firmware update on that, which it's basically turned that into a new synthesizer. And I'm not talking about the plug out side of it. You know how it's got the plug outs, where it's got the Jupiter and the Juno and I think they brought out a JX3P one a bit later on. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the update where they enabled like a whole FM synth they added to it, and then they added like extra filters, and then they added extra, like it was crazy, this amount of stuff that they added to it, and they didn't need to. I mean, I don't even think anyone ever knew it was actually even coming. I mean, there's a guy that I know that works in Roland in Australia who told me about it when it was about a week before it was about to be announced. So I got a beta version of it so I could play with it. But it was only a week before, so it's not like, these guys knew about this for ages, and they kept it, in their little Japanese factory. And I mean, that was an amazing update, but that's turned that synth from being pretty cool to being probably one of the best synths on the market for what it can do. So that actually makes, if you look at the two synths next to each other, the Peak and the System 8, they go into battle. And
really?
it'd be a punch up it'd be like round after round. Those two they're probably going to be one of your better sort of synths. The only difference is that the System 8 is 100% digital, and the Peak is hybrid. It's kind of half digital, half analog.
It's got digital oscillators.
And but if you, I don't know, I think Roland have almost perfected digital versus analog argument with that. It's people will disagree with me, but I think it's an amazing synth.
See, now you've said that, I will have a look at that. I dismissed it because, again, I hadn't looked at the updates.
Yeah.
So
Axel Soft is also saying the JDXI was another example of Roland's firmware update. That was a big one as well. So they added this thing called interactive chord mode, which I've never seen on a synth before. So Roland are inventing stuff that
what does that do?
Aren't exactly. They're not exactly brand new things, but they're inventing it in a way that they've got an idea from something else. It's a bit like how Novation did the AFX mode. So it's not a new idea, but they've invented it to work their way. So Roland brought this thing called a interactive chord mode, and basically you could hold down a chord on the synth, and it would transpose to the root note of any of the sequences that we're playing. And because that synth is a 4-part synth, it has a drum part, 2 digital parts, and an analog synth built into it. It would transpose all the 4 parts whilst they were playing.
Oh,
brilliant!
And the drums as well.
Oh, the drums aren't pitched, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect the drums, but that was crazy good.
Sorry, I'm going to get off topic now. That's my little one bugbear about transposition on a lot of hardware, is they don't transpose the drums. So if you tune your drums and you transpose everything else, your drums aren't in tune. It drives me crazy. That's what drives me crazy. Even on the MPC, it won't do it.
Yeah, that's true. But if you do drums as a MIDI track or as a sample track, it will. But if you do it as a drum track or a clip track, it won't.
So yeah, what I've just got to do is make a key group with my own samples or something like that.
Yeah. There's always a way around it. But I only started tuning kick drums recently, so naughty me.
But
I just go like, oh, that's a Simmons D8. That sounds cool. I'll just put that in, and it sounds really punchy. But I never tuned them, so my music's probably all these like real, fully well organised people that know music and they can listen to a 440 hertz and go, that's that sort of person would be listening to my music going, he's out of tune. What's he doing? He doesn't know his shit.
I don't know. I have to. I like my hi-hats and my kick drums just to be like in tune with my bass, else it drives me nuts. And I quite like varying the tuning. So on my mapping of the MPC, I've mapped one of the buttons to tuning on the hi-hat because I kind of like moving it about a bit. But yeah, definitely tune drums.
Definitely the bass drum. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
I
the
don't know if you can tune a snare though. You can tune one of those kind of timbral type snares that have that sort of bellowy sound. I guess you could, but the sort of noisy snare you can't.
I reckon you can. I'm going to stick up for the drum. That's a challenge now, isn't it? I'm going to have to go away and do that.
Tune your snare. Well, there's all these synth
I don't
memes.
tend to use snares, though.
They're talking about the memes, which I completely didn't do this week, but there's always memes about jokes about he put too much reverb on his snare. I always laugh at that sort of stuff. He was crying because he put too much reverb on his snare. Triple Eight Berg saying Peak doesn't have chord memory, which is a major disappointment. Yeah, I guess so. I'm just trying to think. I think doesn't the Summit have chord memory? I think the Summit does. So they maybe there's just only so much room they've got for buttons on this, and I know that everything is menu diving when you don't have the buttons, but yeah, they could. I know that they've kind of cross-pollinated the firmwares of the Summit and the Peak now. So yeah,
that's a big difference though, because the DeepMind desktop does. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So they could have, because normally you might expect it on the keyboard itself, on a MIDI keyboard,
Yeah, that
on the MIDI controller.
I mean, you've got a DeepMind 12, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that chord thing. I've got a friend who's got a DeepMind 6. And he's using the chord thing and he's getting annoyed because he's running out of notes. And I said, well, you should have got a DeepMind 12.
I regret not buying the keyboard version. But
Oh,
I
you
was
got
like,
the module. I like
Yeah.
the module. I'll swap you.
I do kind of like where everything's set out, but what I think that keyboard probably feels really nice. Doesn't it?
They're not the greatest keyboard. I get... Hear that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're not the greatest keyboard.
Well, I
I
was worried.
It's not like a DSI or a Moog keyboard. If you ever bought a Moog synth or a DSI synth, their keyboards are beautiful. So it's not at that level. You can tell it's kind of done more budgety. And even like Roland and Korg keyboards, they feel cheap, but I've never had a Roland keyboard do that.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a forum post by Behringer that said that we can show you how to fix this. So at least they're honest and they say, well, you know, this is a way to adjust the keyboard so it doesn't tap the bottom of that metal chassis thing. But
Was yours one of the early ones then? Because didn't they offer to fix them?
No, because mine came out in 6 months. So the first ones came out in December. And then mine came 6 months later. And I was for those who've been around my channel know I ranted about this massively, where I told Behringer that they were useless. You know, why would you send? I think they've done it again. This is actually still they haven't learned from this, so they've done it again. What they do, we're completely going off topic here, but what they do is they send a bulk order. I think it's all to do with numbers and money. They send a bulk order out to whoever the person is that wants to buy it. For the DeepMind 12, it was Sweetwater in the US. And I don't know what the Neutron was because I wasn't on the early thing with the Neutron. I've only just got mine. But with the MS-101, and the VC340, it was from your neck of the woods. It was Gear for Music in the UK.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff coming out from Behringer now. I think the blue and the grey MS-101s are now coming out. That's Thomann in Germany, and there's a couple of new things. I think the Pro One and that are coming out. It's going to be Thomann that will get that. So there's and like even with the TC Electronic pedal that I got, they made like I don't know what the hell's going on there. I pre-ordered mine in February. On the 1st of February, I pre-ordered mine, and a guy who pre-ordered his on the 30th of January, which is like a day before.
Yeah.
Is it the 30th or the 31st? I always forget. Anyway, the day before the 1st of February, right? He pre-ordered at Sweetwater, and he got his 3 months before I got mine.
Jeepers.
Because they sold and they fulfilled that first period, and I was 1 day late. Not that I care, but you know, I mean, I just find that stuff weird. So why do you ship something? My big rant with the DeepMind was, why do you ship something to one country and not ship it to all of your distributors so that it trickles into, you know, the world basically?
Yeah, it seems odd that they've
It's to got money, but
it's
that's the answer. But
we'll try these guys, see if they get it right, and we'll try these guys and see if they get it right, and then we'll try. It's a bit odd, isn't it? Do you think it could be that? Do you think it could be Yuli testing out who he's going to deal with in the long run?
Well, he admitted recently where he said that it was originally meant to be a gift for him. They never were going to sell it. They had no idea how it was going to sell, whether it was going to sell well or not. But the point was, it was a 6 or 12 voice analog synth, and at the time, I think Korg had the market with the Minilog.
Yeah.
As the cheapest small polyphonic analog synth. Because the Elektron had a 4 voice and it was expensive and blah blah blah. When they hit it, and I think it was $999 or whatever it is US, that was the original price that was cheap. So it sold like really, really well. I don't think they were expecting it to sell as much, but and I think there were some figures that were released recently where they were talking about what was the biggest selling synth of late, as in like the last 2 or 3 years, and the DeepMind 12 has got the Guernsey now. It used to be Korg was the biggest selling synth, but I think the DeepMind 12 has got the Guernsey now. Overall, I think of all time, I think the Korg wins the hat for the biggest selling synth of all time, and I think before that was the Korg M1, and I think before that was the DX7. So that they're big volumes. We're talking hundreds of thousands of synths being sold.
Yeah.
And there's a massive gap between the M1 and the Korg. Like the Korg has like a Guinness Book of Records type number. But when we're talking about how many the DeepMind has sold, it's not like anything like what the Korg sold over the years. It's
I think I might buy a Korg. There must be a reason.
Well, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. It's old technology now. It sounds okay, but yeah, there's better things around now. I still recommend it. When I did my buying your first synth, you don't need, because you're not in that market of buying your first synth. So this is not aimed at you, but this is aimed at people who are on a budget. They want to spend less than $500 and they don't know what to buy. And I've given them, I've segregated it into analog, digital, poly, mono, that sort of categories, and then in each I've given a couple of examples. And the DeepMind was in there, the Mini Log was in there, the Korg was in there, the Base Station 2 was in there. The Peak wasn't, because it was this is not a budget star synth.
Yeah,
it's more of someone like yourself who's got more knowledge and you want to go deeper now. You want to go further. So you've already owned a DeepMind, and you're taking the next step. So
I'm trying to resist taking the next step. I kind of waiting to see what Behringer do with modular, maybe.
Yeah.
They're going to be bringing out some really just for a little experiment. I know, just because I like the idea of modular, but I don't want to spend too much money, because I love the Neutron, but I knew it wasn't really for me when I patched it all up.
Yeah.
And I got something really good, and I moved the attack knob just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I spent 2 months trying to get back that sound. It was patched the same way for 2 months, and I was like,
welcome to modular synthesis. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, no, this
Take
would
photos.
drive me insane. I took the photo. I left the wires in.
Yeah.
But I could never get that.
It sound the same.
It was making like a little pattern of like a little drum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I realised this would not be, not for the money it costs. The Behringer stuff, you could do that week by week. It's pretty cheap, isn't it? They're looking £50 to £100 for each module.
I think it is. Yeah, I think we were talking about this recently, where like even with the boutique stuff, right? I reckon Roland have missed the boat. If you take that side of the boutique off, where they've got the the mod pitch wheel and the mod wheel, right? And you just look at that part of it there.
Yeah.
That is literally a few millimeters, either too big or too short. I can't remember. I think it's actually too big, which is what the problem is. Actually, that's not even the problem, but it literally is almost...
Put it in a case.
It's almost Eurorack. Forget about this, right? Why did they not make that Eurorack? It just makes so much sense. They should have made it Eurorack. But the problem is all the connections on the back would be up the top, right? Which is not where you want to put them on Eurorack. You'd have to put them across the front, obviously. So the Roland, I think they had an opportunity to do something very, very... This is pretty smart. The whole system of boutique was really smart. But one step smarter would have been, we could make this thing Eurorack as well. And all you had to do was buy a little extra, like a rack, rack ears or whatever you want to call it, for it or something. Or maybe it already had it in there. Like what Behringer did with the... See, this is where Behringer have been smart.
With the Neutron.
With the Neutron and with the... all of the new ones that they're bringing out, plus the Moog Model D, they're all Eurorack. You know, you just unscrew a few screws and bang, and it goes. And they give you the cable and everything. It's like,
yeah, they do.
That is brilliant.
That's
brilliant.
That's what it comes down to, the people designing it. And
Yep.
the company, why are they producing it? They didn't have to give you the wire for the Eurorack for the Neutron, did they? They didn't have to.
No.
It's just that spark of genius, and let's give them more for what they want.
Yeah,
and that's why I get a bit annoyed with some companies. I feel that they are charging more, you know, and it's not limited to the synth world. It's DJing as well.
Oh yeah.
DJing, you just got to put DJ on it, and it goes 3 times the price.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, I hate that.
Hello.
I can still hear you.
Right. Yeah. So I've forgotten completely what I was saying.
That's fine. Well, we were just talking about the boutique, right? So Roland were listening to the market, but weren't listening to the market. So Roland have got a bit of arrogance about them, where they're saying we continuously want to go forward. We don't want to redo things, so we want to keep going forward. So we can prove to you that we can remake an SH-0101, but it's going to be completely digital, and you won't even be able to tell the difference, you know, in the mix, blah blah blah. And not only that, we're going to make it compact, so all the DJs will love it, blah blah blah. And they pretty much did that, right? But they didn't listen, because they don't want Roland to prove that they're really good at programming digital chips, and you know that they're awesome engineers, and you know, look how good my lines of code is, and I can make it sound like an old analog circuit. They weren't asking for that. They were actually asking for Roland to redo, because the world has got 30-year-old SH-101s, and they're all starting to drop off the face of the earth because they're old and breaking, and like, make more of them because we still use them. That's what they're asking for. And it took Behringer to do it, which is a shame. It's a shame.
That's where I feel like, do you ever feel like you just want to go into some of these boardrooms and go, look, you've almost got it. You're making it. You're kind of making what we've asked for. So you're half there. Why have you decided it's take the red pill and the blue pill, and every time they take the wrong pill, isn't it? Yeah. It's that kind of situation. Just please, almost. But
yeah,
I find Roland does that as a company, and that's what we're kind of talking about. Is where are the innovators? So
Tax.
Well, he was the real innovator there.
He did it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did it. Now, we don't know where he's gone, but wherever he's gone...
He's in the UK, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, but we don't know who he's going to be working for.
Where he went. Didn't he go to Cambridge originally? That's where he did his electronics engineers degree. It was either Cambridge or Oxford, one of those two big unis there. He went there, then he graduated. I think he worked somewhere briefly, and then he went and worked for Korg. And his first products were the monotrons, right? Yeah, I saw the interview. Yeah, and
it's quite good the way he said. I didn't understand how Japanese like what you call rules work. The rules of you know, politeness. Yeah. He was just like in the UK world, and he just marched in there like, can I have a job?
Yeah.
Not realising that is not the thing to be done, but in actual fact, that kind of, they gave him a chance because he was different.
Yeah.
So and within like a month, I think he was running his own. Yeah, he was. Yeah, they seemed picked up on who he was.
About when he was there, he did the monotrons, and he did a few, you know, variations of that. Then he did the Volkers, and
where would we be?
He did a remake of the Volkers. He did the remake of the MS-20, and then he did the which wasn't hard because Korg was originally Korg's. But then he did the remake of the Korg, the ARP Odyssey, and then he was part of all of that. And then he did the monologue and the mini log were all his inventions as well. Yeah. Well, not his on his own. Obviously, he had team. And then I think he left a couple of extras on the table for them to keep going with. And I think the Korg modular the Volca modular was one of his. And he said he'd left Korg with a few extra ideas before he left. So he's gone now. So basically, let's see how that all just fizzled. But the prologue was one of his ideas as well. I know Korg have said that it was they got the original concept from him and they've taken it further with the sample wavetable stuff, which is true.
Yeah.
So he didn't come up with that. That was Korg bringing it in, which is smart, I think. But yeah, where does he work? I mean, this is just pure speculation, but wouldn't it be cool if we found out that he worked at Midas and he helped develop the Neutron?
Well, I'd have my
in secret or something.
I'm hoping he's working with the Aphex Twin somewhere in Cornwall, because that's where the Aphex Twin comes from.
Yeah.
And I hope that after this stream, when I go and get my wine or whatever, I bump into them at the local shop. That's what I'm hoping. Cool,
yeah. But
hello, guys.
Wagoos just said he's moved to Germany. I think, I do remember. No, he might have said Germany. I think I said UK, but yeah, I think it was Germany. He's saying he's moved to Germany. He's working on a Red Bull synth, experimenting type things. There's a few patch videos on their channel. The Synthy. Okay. I don't know about that.
I mean,
okay, so coming up, we have got a future... we talked about those guys in Japan that were remaking the CS80, and they've already done that called the Decade's Dream, and they're remaking the Elka Synthex, right? We talked about that a few weeks ago on one of the news things. So there is another guy, which is Mario Maggio, was the original Elka Synthex guy. He's supposed to be remaking the Elka Synthex, and he's going to call it the Synthex 2. So that's supposed to happen. And we know that Behringer have got, because remember that there was that photo they released where they showed all the things that they're going to clone, and one of them was the VCS3, the Synthy from the original English company, the Jean-Michel Jarre thing with the battleship pegs in it.
Yeah.
There was a heap, and then there was an announcement that was mentioned earlier that there's going to be a Prophet 5 because they've already got the Curtis chips now because of Cool Audio. But I can tell you I told you guys about how I was dealing with a developer at Behringer with the MS-101, so I'm helping them with the firmware on that because the original SH-01 has different things that the sequencer did and the arpeggiator did. Like, for one of the things it did was you could transpose the arpeggiator by hitting the transpose button. There's no transpose button on that one, so we're going to implement that when we can. When I was talking to him, he's showing me projects that he's been developing on, and I can tell you that, and this is not like a newsflash. This is releasing this information to the world today. We know about it already. So we know that they're going to be doing a TB303 clone.
Yeah, that'd be good. Everybody could have that.
I actually know for a fact that they've already worked on the firmware on it. So that, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing some pictures of that thing coming into fruition soon. We know that they're doing the Korg MS-20 again for themselves. So it's going to be called a K2. I don't know why they decided to do that. It's a bit weird. The one that I stumbled across, and I don't think anybody has mentioned this, so this might be complete BS, but when I was looking at the development stuff that he sent me, there's a polyphonic Moog synth that they're doing as firmware development. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's like an M1, multiple voice Moog.
That'd be really cool, wouldn't it?
To combat against the multiple voice Moog one called the M1, the Moog one, sorry. So I know for a fact that they're working on firmware on that as well. So if you're looking at clones, they're going to be pumping out at least, I listed, there's at least another 10 or 12 coming out of Behringer. And that's not even talking about the Eurorack stuff that you were talking about either. That's a whole different side of it as well. So there's going to be...
Do you know which team are doing that? Is it the electronic team that are going to be doing
Nah.
the
So you've got the Midas guys and you've got
yeah,
the German guys. Okay. So
yeah,
they're basically the two. There's two different
yeah. The
engineering
German guys are
departments.
TC Electronics, yeah.
No,
And
TC Electronic is in Sweden, isn't it, or Switzerland?
what is it? TC? What's it called? The German part of
Behringer.
TC? No, it's they bought TC. What's in the Deep Mind Effects?
TC Electronic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he owns them.
Yeah, I know he owns them. They're not actually. They're not in Germany though. They're in.
I thought it was
they're in
those
Sweden
guys.
or something.
I thought it was those guys that were doing
Danish.
that.
Denmark.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was those guys that were doing that part of the European stuff. But then he's setting up projects everywhere. He's got some other guy on a project in. Did you see that?
The people that he's employed recently. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's setting up places everywhere.
Yeah. So he's got his factory in China, which the guy that I talked to works in China, and
right.
He works on the firmware and things like that. Just so you know, the firmware that he works on, he doesn't work on the Neutron, so I can't ask him anything about the Neutron, but he works on, or the DeepMind, but he works on the MS-101, the what do you call it, VC340, which doesn't have much firmware, but he works on that. He works on the Crave and the Pro 1, because they're already pretty much out now. Once you'll start seeing them in the streets very soon, Crave and Pro 1. And I'm just trying to think. There was a heap. The drum machine. I can't remember.
Yeah,
the 808 clone that's coming out.
Are you interested in those?
I don't know. I have to see it. I mean, I've got to stop buying stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really need it. I mean, this thing here, the TR8. Now, there's only the TR8S. This is all digital, but it's fine for me. I don't even actually really use this much anymore. Since I've got the MPC Live, I don't really need it. So
before I sold the Roland 505 and 307, I just sampled all their kits into the MPC.
Axelsoft is asking about wine in Cornwall.
Well, I'm actually on my side drinker, so I just wanted to be posh for a moment. So,
I was just going to say, but most Cornish people like to have a wine, don't they?
Oh yes, very funny. I'm not Cornish. There's
there actually vineyards down there though? I don't think there is there?
Yes, there is. There's two.
I know they're in Dorset. There's heaps in Dorset, but I didn't actually know there was vineyards down there.
Yeah, I remember.
The South Coast is good for growing grapes in the UK. But yeah, cider o'clock is what people are saying. Absolutely, or beer o'clock, if you want to do it that way. I think next week what I'm going to do, it's getting quite late for me here. It's 12:37 a.m. here. I think next week I'm definitely going to. I'm going to introduce a beer. I'm not even going to care who it is. I'm just going to pick one randomly. I'm going to tell you if it tastes like crap or not. And we'll do that next week because I think we're all adults here. And yeah, we can talk about.
Yeah, you're leading us astray because it's only 3:00 here. So I'll be like, come on, you can't do it till 5. Remember, you are a parent. I don't have my child here. My child's not here at the moment. She's gone to stay elsewhere. But yeah, come on. But yeah, it's a good idea. You can tell us all about. It's another thing to talk about apart from.
We've got ciders, we've got beers. We can, it's morning for some of you guys because I know you're in the US, but I don't think we get a lot of US people on this stream.
So, that would be horrible. Can you imagine if you're working?
Wake up at 9.
We're all beering it.
We're all beering it. You never know. They might
work.
They might still be doing the Friday night all-nighter. You never know. We've all done that, haven't we?
More than once. More than once.
But I think we'll do some beer and cider. Actually, there's a couple of good cider places here as well. One place that we I don't know if you guys know much about Australia. That there's a place in Australia called Tasmania, which is like an island down the bottom. It's like a triangle-looking thing, and that place is really well known for beautiful apple ciders. So, they've got a famous brand called Cascade, which goes all over the world now. So, I might show a Cascade, but yeah. So if you like ciders, there I might introduce a cider from here, and I'll try and find one that you guys can get at your local shop, because I'll try and make sure that they're sending them overseas, especially like there's a lot of Australian drink goes to the UK, like wines and stuff. So yeah, because we get a lot of beers from the UK and Germany as well, so it's a kind of backward and forward stuff.
Okay.
Mr. Basic saying he's in Washington, so Mr. Basic would be around lunchtime now for you, mate. Around almost probably. He's probably munching on a sanger right now. There's a bit of Australian accent for you there. Munching on a sanger. That's having a sandwich. Dry, cloudy cider, please. None of the sweet crap. Never understood why US people hit the spirits for casual drinking. I'd be destroyed. Oh my God. Yes, and they drink it like cordial. They just like put a bit of whiskey and they don't even do that thing where when you drink like spirits and you go whoa afterwards. Yeah. Because it just like rocks your core.
But that's the bit you like, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like really horrible, but yeah. But that's like why I can't drink wine.
Oh, Washington, as in Washington State, of course. I was thinking Washington DC. Sorry, Washington State is in like Seattle and that. Yeah, of course. No wonder it's early there. Yeah, so you were saying, spirits are what the good bit is, the drinking, the first bit that makes you go.
But wine as well. You have to sip wine, and I can't sip anything. I have to like drink it. So if you give me wine, I just drink it, and I'm completely drunk in about an hour because I've just drank a bottle of wine. Because I'm not. It's horrible. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm a casual light drinker.
Yeah.
Ciders and beers and.
Mr. Basic saying my clock is blank in the corner. I haven't actually got the clock thing loaded on here. Don't worry about it. I'll put it on next week. It's on this one.
For some reason, my clock's saying 8:30 in the evening, but I know it's not 8:30 yet. I know we haven't been.
If I show you that one, the clock works. See? There you go. Look at that. It's just above my wonderful logo.
Yeah. It's really tiny.
Yeah. So it says. I don't even know what that says.
I can't read it.
Oh, it's UTC time. Okay, it's after midnight in UTC. Okay, I get it. Anyway, I don't even know why the clock is there. 888 Berg is from Adelaide. Oh, okay. You're originally from Adelaide, I think. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, South Australian wines. There's a place in South Australia called the Barossa Valley, which produces probably some of the best wines in the world. Yeah, definitely. And you guys will know some of it. If you're a wine drinker, you'll know some of the Barossa brands, like I'm just trying to think. Penfolds, Jacob's Creek.
Oh yeah.
They're all Barossa. So they've been around for 150 years. Those wineries. Oh, he's saying he lives in Adelaide now. Wow, it must be late there. And I've got a couple of bottles of Penfolds. Hermitage they're called, and they're worth a couple of hundred, probably $200-300 just for a bottle of red wine. Because they're of a certain vintage, 2007 or something. So 12 years old now, almost getting port, sort of creeping to that port land, aren't they?
Yeah. I like port.
Imagine opening a 12-year-old red wine like a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Shiraz or something that's 12 years old, right? Compared to opening one that's only a year old. That's the whole thing with red wine. Didn't know Penfold emigrate. Yeah, they're around the world. They're well known, absolutely. And I'm just trying to think. There's like Seppelts. There's a lot of really, really famous wines from South Australia. So I haven't lived there for years, but I used to live over that way. But yeah, why don't we do that? We'll do ciders and beers, and then maybe the week after we can do wines.
You could do cider and synths.
Ciders and synths.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And you guys in the chat, you can also recommend the local beverage of your choice, and if you want. Now, if you guys want to be part of this, Inky, it's not just Inky and me. We can have more people on here on the actual Skype call, the video side. If you want to do that, you can definitely contact me via my socials, which are just below, down that way, down the bottom there. You'll see Twitter and Facebook. If you don't like Twitter or Facebook, you can contact me via email, which is on my About page on the YouTube channel. And I'm trying to get Michael back. I haven't actually spoken to him for a couple of weeks now, but I think he's finished doing his little gigs and stuff. So we'll see if we can get Michael to come back. He's always good value. And yeah, any of you guys that are in chat now, you're more than welcome to. Don't be scared of this stuff. Look, Inky and I are just like you guys. We're just like you guys. Mr. Basic. Don't be scared.
Mr. Basic, he's quite a good, interesting chap. He does his own like little talk thing where you can talk to him.
Yeah.
So he's not shy.
So he's the guy from Washington in US.
Yeah, me and Mr. Basic. I think he was probably the first person I ever met on YouTube.
Yeah.
Back when we had about 3 subscribers each.
Cool.
And it's kind of weird how we've seen each other grow. I didn't even tell him I was here, so he's here either by accident or I don't know how he got here, because I didn't tell him I was here. But yeah, he does like a little, just him being himself. I really respect that awesome. he just gets on there and it's just himself.
I like that.
And
yeah, and that's the thing. Like with YouTube, I'm not here for how many subscribers I've got or anything. I'm not into that. I'm just here because it's a place where people can come together and have fun.
Yeah,
and
it's brilliant.
I mean, like, there's people that have started their YouTube channels at the same time as me, and they've got now 50, 60, 100,000 subscribers. I think you guys probably know a guy called Red Means Recording.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Jeremy. So Jeremy and I started around about the same time, and we were buddies and all that sort of stuff. And so you can see how quick you can grow for some people. But he actually works in the media industry and does videos, so that's why he's so good at them, because he actually works in that industry. He's a professional. You can tell. He's also a much better musician than I am too. That always helps. But yeah, for me, if you guys have just met me for the first time, it's really a pleasure to meet you. But and also same for Inky, if you've met Inky for the first time. But we're just users, and what I mean by users is like the synthesizers and the guitar pedals or whatever it is that we're showing on our videos. We're just the same as you guys. We're just using them, and we're not selling them. We're not getting paid by anyone. It's kind of, we're just talking about our experience with the stuff, and I think the Saturday stream is about kind of relaxing and having fun, isn't it, Inky? It's kind of just having a chat.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Synths and ciders.
Mr. Basic saying she comes to our live stream. She's a real friend. That's really nice. That's awesome.
Oh.
So, Mr. Basic, you're more than welcome to come join us here, and we can do kind of live stream swaps, live stream pen pals from the old days. So there you go. I absolutely am serious with that invitation. None of you guys none of you have to. Don't feel obliged that you have to. But if you do have yourself a YouTube channel, I'm more than happy to promote it for you as well, because there's other people that watch my channel, and it's always good to get yourself out there. So when this video finishes, it always saves and uploads. So once that's done, if you guys want me to mention your channel, because I don't think the chat will let you, the live chat is a way that the algorithm works. You can definitely message me your link to your YouTube channel, and I'll put it into the video description. Because when people watch the video back, they'll see the live chat happen. What you guys are doing right now, they'll get to see it all, which is all part of the video, isn't it, Inky?
Well, it's good because I can't really keep up with the chat at the moment. I keep trying to keep up with it and then having to talk, and I haven't mastered typing and answering questions and talking. I'm not quite at that level. You know, people do it really well, don't they? You see them, they're talking, they're answering a question and being funny at the same time, and you're like, dude, how'd you do that? Yeah. You know, so I like to watch it back.
Definitely people that could do it a lot better than me. But the thing is, like, I try, and you know, I've got only so much I can show here, and I would definitely love to have a couple more people on Skype, and we can, you know, can obviously fit them on the screen. There's plenty of room here. Get rid of some of my crappy looking. This is just this nerdy thing that I've come up with, where I've got the boxes and cams and stuff. I mean, I can get rid of all of that, so we can make more room on the screen. That's for sure. Everyone's saying,
and you can make it smaller and bigger, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can get rid of the Patreon crap down the bottom. All that sort of stuff can go. It's plenty of room. So, you know, we could have 4, 6, 8. There's other channels that have had. I've seen, you know, Ken from the US. He's had like 6 people on his Synth Summit thing before. So you know, I think it does kind of start to attack the internet connection a bit when you start getting more than about 4, but we can try it. Absolutely.
And by the way, he's the master of typing funny comments while
he's good as
interviewing somebody really important about some high spec thing. Yeah, full respect.
Yeah. Well, you're saying it looks like my little setup looks like websites that use frames in the 90s. Yeah, it does. Oh, jeez. You've caught me. That's what I used to do in the 90s. I used to design websites. No, I'm just joking. I didn't. I might have done it for fun, but not for real. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, I think we'll wrap it up. We've been gone for ages today. And I didn't even realise it's gone that quick.
How long have we been going?
It says here 2 hours and 55 minutes.
3 hours? We've been going 3 hours?
Yeah, that's got to be a record, hey?
Jeepers.
Yeah.
Oh, we need some sort of kind of alarm clock.
Yeah, I know. Tell us to shut up, guys.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. Yeah. And also, don't forget, next week, if you want me to cover a specific topic, let me know. I felt that 3 hours didn't feel like 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? Like it definitely was 3 hours, but it didn't feel like it. Like it didn't drag on or anything.
Well, that didn't feel like 3 hours.
No.
I've been standing here talking.
We were in a time machine.
3 hours.
It was a time machine. Hey, who's been watching Netflix?
I haven't watched much TV.
Oh my god! Who in the chat room watches Netflix? Let us know. I've been watching this series. I've finished watching. I'm not going to give away anything, but there's a series on Netflix that I've just watched called Dark. You've got to check that out. Like if you, I think it's more aimed at some of the older people. I finished watching Stranger Things 3, and then I saw this thing come up saying watch Dark. So I had to watch series 1, and they've just done series 2. So I had to watch series 1 to catch up to series 2, and I've just finished series 2. And I binged a bit. And if you're wondering, that's what I did last week. No, just joking. And this whole series, it's about time travel and kids going missing, but they didn't really. And like it's so many twists to the plot. Like it's going to really mess your mind up. And it's done in German, so if you know how to speak German, you can watch it actually in German. Or you can, with Netflix, there's a new feature now where they actually have American actors voiceover, so you can watch it even with the original German actors, but they've got American or English voiceover. So, which is pretty cool. And I actually didn't mind watching it with the American voiceover. It was actually really well done, quite clever. So, yeah, a big plug for that. If you guys have seen it, or if you don't have Netflix, go get Netflix. It's pretty cheap these days, and it's good to watch TV and not have ads. Interrupting you. You can just watch without ads coming up. So, but yeah, if you don't like dubbing, you can watch it with the original, like German people talking, the actors, and you can have subtitles if you want. So, yeah. But that's not what I'm talking about. The actual series itself is probably one of. I don't usually plug shows. I don't usually talk about like. It's not something I talk about a lot, but I really was really impressed by the originality of the storyline of this. It's not something I've seen done before. So
has it got a good ending?
It doesn't have an ending yet because they're going to do series 3.
See, no, the problem is right.
It kind of semi-ends.
No,
it's
right.
Partial ending.
Do you remember when Lost came out?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Oh my god, no! They just killed that.
Right. No,
yeah.
I loved Lost, right, and then all of a sudden it took a left turn.
Yeah.
And it got lost.
Right. They stuck to
the name. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's watching that. It's probably still going, but then we come to Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Now, having invested a lot of time in that and deciding quite recently I'm not going to watch TV. I watch films, but not really TV.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I'm very hesitant to get into another series that nobody knows the end of. Because I mean, Game of Thrones, it was so good, and then and I can't talk about it. It still hurts now. So I'm gutted about that. So, but I know what you mean. It's nice to get away from music.
Game of Thrones was not an original concept in the sense that there's been medieval / that sort of to boot. There's been heaps of it, But the concept of where, I mean, the author, the way he wrote, where he just destroyed main characters. Like, that's something that I've never really seen before. It's probably been done before, but it's not been that well known to do that, where you've got a main character that you're starting to grow and learn all about, and whether you love or hate them, and then all of a sudden they die. And you're like, that's crazy. That's what Game of Thrones. If you ever want to know, that was their big thing, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it did drag on, Game of Thrones. I definitely thought it dragged on. I was dying for them to get to that cold ice, bloody walker, whatever you call it, war. Let's get to that war. We want to see the ice walkers more. Like, we've just stopped.
Yeah.
All this other innuendo, but I mean, yeah. This series, Dark, is not as epic and big, and we're not talking about that sort of big production stuff. Yeah. This is more kind of more just sit down and chill and watch type thing. You won't be disappointed. The
concept you're saying is of the idea is very interesting.
Yeah,
I like the idea. Of time travel, kids going missing, and sounds good.
Well, it's really, and like the way the plot twists, and you'll like it, and it can be a bit slow, but sometimes the slow bits you have to endure them because there's bits that they release during that you need to know about. You can't just get there and go skip. When you've got those, like, when you're watching TV shows on your computer, you can skip all the boring bits, hit the 15-second skip button. You can't really do that with some of these because you'll miss out on important bits. But anyway.
I've given up telly, but you've just reminded me. I was watching films in 7 minutes because you're like, what do I need to know? And you skip, don't you, to the interesting bit.
Yeah, but I've definitely done that with heaps of shows that people have gone, oh, you should watch this, and I've watched it and I've gone skip, and then if I have a rule, if I've skipped more than 10 times in one episode, I'm not watching the rest of it. It's gone. Like if people just know, they need to know how to write things and edit things, and if I'm skipping, it means that you haven't got me. Sorry. I like it. I reckon it's the new way to watch things. Because in the old days you couldn't skip. You had to sit there and watch it on your TV, right? So you had to sit there and endure through it.
And you only got 4 channels. Oh, 3 channels in the UK. 3 channels of rubbish. So, at 7 o'clock you've got soaps, which are all right, but they're not really, are they? They're not.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, thank God things have moved on in the TV and the musical world.
Well, anyway.
Should we finish?
We should finish. It's 3 hours and 3 minutes, and I think on that note,
303.
we will do the 303 exit. And I
Yay!
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I will be back next Saturday, and hopefully we might even have some more people on the screen. So, thanks you. Catch you all later. Bye now.
Bye.